have Kevin and Mike from the Suffering Podcast. Thank you guys for coming in.
I really do appreciate you having us in today.
Thanks for having us, man. I heard a lot about you, and we were more than willing to come on the show.
Tommy and I have been texting quite a bit in the past couple of days.
Yeah. So how do you like Florida?
You know, we got sold on this bill of goods that Florida had all this great weather. We left New York. We left Newark Airport. It was 40 degrees out. We arrived in Florida. It's 40 degrees and it's raining. I got sold a bill of goods.
You came at the best time. But how cold is it in New York right now, or Jersey?
It was I think 13 degrees.
And
we're getting a big we're getting a nor'easter.
We may be here for a little bit longer just because that we're getting a nor'easter in, so it's right about when we're going to land.
Yeah, we're flying out tomorrow, and it's supposed to be 12 inches of
snow. So you're going from here to 12 inches of snow.
Yeah, one extreme to the next, I guess. And it's beautiful out today.
Yeah, today's beautiful. Right when you're about to leave.
See, the funny thing is, today was the most beautiful day. We were so wiped out from the week. I left our room 3 times today to put my laundry in. I came back to the room, took it out, put it in the dryer, went back to the room, took it out of the dryer, went back in and took a nap.
Yeah, I mean,
we missed the best day of the week.
It will take it out of you, though. I mean, doing this all day, one after another, and repeating yourself. So now you got the podcast, the Suffering Podcast, guys. And I think that to name the podcast Suffering, I think that takes balls because it could go a lot of different ways. So when you come up with the name, the Suffering Podcast, how do you guys decide that this is what we're going to call it? And was there any kickback in the beginning because of the name of it?
There's a funny story about that one. So suffering is such a visceral word. It evokes a certain emotion in you, and that's what you want to do. Whenever you're doing any type of media or anything like that, you want to pull on people's whatever emotional strings. So Mike came in episode 9. I had started this just sort of as a hobby. During COVID, lockdown, nothing going on.
What episode was that, Kev?
That was episode 9.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you're such an egomaniac, Tommy. It's crazy. But I did get some...
I think he knows how to push your buttons, buddy.
Oh,
constantly.
He's been pushing them for 25 years.
You guys been living together for 3 days, right?
My longest standing relationship in the world is with a bald dude that's 5'9".
It could be worse.
I used to be 5'10".
Yeah, but we did get pushed back.
I'm 5'11", by the way.
You're 5'11", no problem, man. We'll put some platforms on you.
Well, listen, when I had hair, I used to keep it up high. So you say I was 6 foot. I had kid and play hair back then.
Kid and play.
But we did get some pushback in the beginning. It turned a lot of people off. I remember I had a buddy of mine in. His name was Will Fern, and he's a magician. So one of his buddies listened to it and like, yeah, I didn't want to listen to it. It's suffering. What do I want to listen to suffering about? Because what we found out through our own personal journeys is that this suffering that you go through really makes you appreciate life afterwards, because life's pretty great. All right, life's pretty great and we all have our trials and tribulations. Once you get to the other side of that pain and suffering, that's when the good stuff happens. And without that, you'd never appreciate it. If you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you had millions of dollars your whole life, well, $10,000 is nothing to you. You had nothing growing up and you came from a relatively poor area like I did in South Jersey, $10,000 is a lot of money. And you appreciate things going on, and it stays with you for the rest of your life.
Now, Mike, did you grow up with money or like middle class?
I mean, my parents were divorced when I was like 7 years old. My father was never an absentee father. Me and my brother lived with my mother, but we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. My mother slept on the couch. She let me and my brother each have a bedroom.
Good mom.
She slept on the couch, and to me that was normal. You
didn't know any different.
I knew no different. When I went to high school, I went to a pretty affluent high school, and there were some people that had a lot of money. My first freshman football game, one of the guys on the team says, we videotaped the game, want you to come up to my house and watch it. We go up to his house, Kev. You'd like to. He lives in Short Hills.
Oh, jeez.
Short Hills is one of the most expensive places in all New Jersey.
When I lived there, my ex used to drain me at South Hills Malls.
Oh, the Short Hills
Mall.
Yeah.
Glenn, don't ever take your wife there, pal.
Yeah. Well, Short Hills Mall. Short Hills, real nice area, real affluent area. Yeah, some guy goes out with his wife. People carjack him.
Yeah.
In front of his kids,
in the garage.
In front of his kids, in the garage of the Short Hills Mall.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what were you saying? So, Short Hills.
So we the guy says, "Oh, come up to my house. Here's my address." We didn't have GPS back in the day, so we had to kind of find it. I was a freshman, so I had to get a ride up there. This guy had like a cinema in his house, and my apartment could fit in his cinema. So I didn't come from much, but I didn't want for anything.
You had what you needed to survive.
Yeah, and
but then when you realize when you go from to apartment, mom sleeping on the couch, so you guys have the better. Then you go to another person's house. He's got basically a movie theater in his house. You realize, this is the other end.
There's more to life than a two-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
But you never want to go back there. Like if you grew up in a place that was real rough and tough and you didn't have any money and you see every once in a while when you venture outside of your little neighborhood and you see things like that cinema, you never want to go back to the way it was with your mother having to sleep on the couch, to sacrifice for her boys. That's the problem, and that's where the suffering comes in.
And I think, I agree with you guys. I think two things. I think everybody should spend a month in jail. And I think everybody should have $1 million. I mean, this is just like a hypothetical
They do a
thing.
TV show on that now, right?
Yeah.
60 days in or 90 days in or whatever it's called.
But that's a good point. I love that point.
But I think if everybody did a month in jail, right, and then everybody had whatever amount of money for a month, and then you had zero, and now you got to work. Now you know what jail's like. Right? So now maybe before you do something stupid, you'll find out real quick that county jail is not fun.
Well, see, I say that about law enforcement all the time, and I never did it, and I wish I actually did. You should start off in corrections, because now you're in the jail.
Hell with that, man.
You're not an inmate, but you're in the jail, and you see the inner workings of the jail. See, I was lucky in my law enforcement career. I started out working for a sheriff's department where I was in the court security division. So I saw the way the courts worked out, and I, took mental notes of when you see police officers on the stand, what to say, what not to say.
Smart.
And that's what corrections officers do. They read inmates all the time. And now when you get out of corrections and become some people do their whole career in corrections, don't get me wrong, but if they do transfer over and become a police officer, they got that criminal mindset. And some of the best cops I ever worked with were corrections officers to begin with.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, so don't answer it if it's bad. But if the CO, say somebody's about to go to court and they don't get pre-release, I forget what they call it up there. Well, a CO, if there's a U.S. attorney or a prosecutor that is really targeting Kevin, will he go up to that CO and say, "Hey, I want you to watch Kevin, and anything you can get on him, let me know," and plead the fifth if it's just...
Listen, I can't say it for certain, but I'm sure it happens.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
I'm sure it happens. I mean,
you got to also remember, police officers, corrections officers across the board, I know a lot of them. Charlie Cifarelli, who you had in here, is a very good friend of mine. They're human beings like everybody else. So if you, Tommy, you had a grudge against somebody, you're going to look unfavorably against them in many different ways of their life. If they do something wrong, you're going to peg them on it. Or if there's some angle that you can play, police officers are no different. They do it. They do it. I'll tell you right now that they do it. If they know a guy in town, we called him frequent flyers, where he was always getting in trouble, always getting arrested. Well, he's driving down the road. You're going to watch him a little closer than Mary over there that drives once a week. So
Right.
It is true. There is some validity to that. But it's not malicious. It's not overly malicious like everybody thinks it is.
Right.
it goes through all phases of life, though. I mean, I was a police officer in Lyndhurst. Kevin was a police officer in Roseland, both in New Jersey. If I heard something about a guy from Roseland, I'd call Kevin and say, "Kev, keep an eye on this guy. Let me know what you got on him."
Yeah, you help each other out.
Yeah, you help each other out.
So you could take the whole CO thing as a negative thing, but then you could also take the CO thing as he's just doing his job. Cash App. Go to cash.app. Cash App, the easiest way to send money, spend money, save money, and buy cryptocurrency. Cash App believes in providing everyone with access to important financial services so they can fully participate in the economy. Sign up today for Cash App. Use the code MSCS. Additionally, once signed up, create an invite code. When a friend uses the invite code and sends $5 or more from a newly created Cash App account, another bonus will arrive within 14 days. That's cash.app, or download the app and sign up. Cash App. You could take it in or out of context.
You got to remember, these guys are behind enemy lines every single day. They go to work behind enemy lines.
Well, and I always say I have the utmost respect for corrections officers, because as a police officer, you see, Kevin and I were both in pretty much small-town police departments. You see a criminal, every couple days maybe?
A true blue criminal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not every day. You're in the inner cities. You're seeing them every single day.
These corrections officers dealing with criminals every day. You know, everybody they talk to is a criminal.
But on the flip side of that, so we just sat down with a guy named Josh from DOC TV, and he was a convict. He got caught. I think he got caught running Xanax or something like that. Got out, and his show is marketed towards convicts. Well, he had us on, and it was nice because you have platforms such as yours where you can sit down and you have people on opposite ends of the spectrums. You sit down, and what you realize really quickly is that we have much more that combines us than splits us apart. And this guy, Josh, we had a great conversation before, after, and during the show, coming from completely different places. He actually sat down and said, oh, we're going to go on the other side now. And that's what this is all about, right?
That was the intro to it.
Yeah.
He said, you know, because his audience is pretty much inmates, convicts.
That's all it is.
Yeah. And he says, the intro to the show was, you know, I know that, you know, my
I'm sorry, Mike. So the audience for the CO is convicts and
No, he wasn't a CO. He was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Josh was a former inmate.
Okay,
He
gotcha.
was, you know, he was locked. He did some time for, you know, dealing and stuff like that.
But it's all about finding a different perspective. And even with suffering and the people that we bring on to our show, we learn different perspectives on a variety of different topics.
Yeah. Pull up tab 2. So now when I look at your website and everything else, on YouTube you have like 1 minute clips and things like that. Then you have Buzzsprout, which then you kicked out to Apple and Spotify and everything else. Is the reason for the hour-long ones and everything else primarily toward Buzzsprout because of the censorship?
No, what it is I found the attention span. Like I listen to your shows, and they're 2.5, 3 hour shows. In my mind, a podcast such as ours, who has 2 or 3 hours to listen to it? Now watching it on YouTube, and I watch them like that's the dual end of this, because I watch your 2 or 3 hour shows, but I might watch them in little clips. So with an hour show, we try to keep it to an hour, just because of the guest gets tired. We're dealing with some really heavy-duty things that
we get tired.
Yeah, we get tired. I mean, you know, after you do a 2 or 3 hour show that you're wiped. But imagine going into a studio and talking about your deepest, darkest times for 3 hours.
That would wear me out after hour. I could do 6 hours like this.
You're right.
You know, I'm not like endurance, but if I'm digging deep like that, or like you said, the guests that you have in, you know, you're trying to, from what I've seen, you guys try to dig down deep in and help them and pull some shit out that maybe hasn't been pulled out or somebody can't pull out. And maybe just because they can relate to you guys that you're able to pull it out.
Well, we come from a place of understanding.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, we have our own damage from police work and the incidents that we've been through. But what we find out is we take them on this little journey. And they'll come in there beaten and broken, and they really can't organize the stuff that they've seen in their lives. We just recorded somebody who was raped by 3 guys when they were 12. We had Gene Halberger on, who lost his son to suicide at the age of 17.
Billy Bart.
Billy Bart was a New York City fireman.
Go to tab 3.
Billy Bart was a New York City fireman who's got cancer from 9/11. And you take them on these journeys, and you get into some really deep, dark stuff. But now that they're through it, now all of a sudden they feel clear and they feel free to express themselves, and they may even try to go help somebody else, and that's a beautiful thing.
But you know, their stories are helping other people, and you know.
Next one over, Glenn. Click on next one over right there. So now here's your Buzzsprout, right?
That's Wanda Lee Chaika. She's a Parsippany police officer. Now this girl, this is
I
an
wanted
interesting
to ask about this one.
So this is an interesting one. Wanda Lee is this tiny, petite, little female officer. Now, in the police world, what you'll find is that there's certain male officers that will look down on female police officers. Somebody like her, she's not going to go wrestle around with a 6'8" guy. She's going to have to use different tools. Wanda Lee, that little girl right there, is one of the toughest girls I've ever met in my life. I've seen her on, because she's Dominican, so I've seen her pull out her Dominican, and even I work in the town of Parsippany right now, and I've seen her do her thing, and you just sort of stand back and go, whoa. Okay.
You're like, well, she's serious.
When she left the studio that day, I said to Kevin, I said, I wouldn't fuck with her.
Now, okay, so you have her in, right? So what was she suffering from? What was the suffering point of view that made it make sense to have on the podcast?
The female officers have it very difficult, especially somebody as small and petite as her, because she has a different threat level than, say, Mike or I. A guy comes after us. There's a force continuum in police work where, you know, you go to verbal to mechanical, which is like OC spray, and then on to listen. I've been retired for 8.5 years, so I don't know them off the back of my hand. But then you go to deadly force, and you have to escalate and you have to de-escalate. Somebody like her force continuum is different. Where if a 6'8" guy, or let's say I'm 6'4", so if a 6'4" guy comes at me, I could probably work with him with my hands a little bit more. She's not going to be able to work with him with her hands. So she has to overcome that. And then she has to overcome the biases that are in the police department. Oh, I don't want to work on the road with a woman. I don't want to do that. She's dangerous. You know, she's going to get me hurt. But this girl, so she has to develop certain tools. But this girl, I'll take her over most police officers in the country.
Wow.
You got to realize something about the old generation of police officers too, what we call dinosaurs.
Yep.
You know, you got the old dinosaurs that still work there or probably retired by now, but they were dead set against women in law enforcement.
Right.
You know, it's a male-dominated field. They hated women in law enforcement. My personal perspective is I feel there's a need for women in law enforcement. You go to a domestic violence situation where, let's just say a woman gets a shit beat out of her by her husband. Last thing she's wanting to do is talk to a male. So there's a place for women in law enforcement, in my opinion.
And I would also say this, Mike. If you come to my house to arrest me for something, I'm going to be way more of a dick to you or you, Kevin, than I would a woman. Just because
I appreciate that, Tom.
anyone. Well, I mean, you know, because
it's a respect thing.
Because like I know criminals that are fucking criminals. I'm not talking white collar criminals, but you put a woman around them, not all of them, you know, but in my opinion, if a woman officer comes to a hardcore male criminal, in my opinion, it's going to go a lot smoother than if you two show up.
But you know what?
But I'm not a cop, so I don't know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Listen,
you're right.
And I'm not a criminal, so I'm just going to put this out there. You see a male cop come in. I'm not saying as a criminal, but as someone who maybe broke the law. Male cop comes in, you think
he's after me.
He's after me, or maybe I could fuck this guy up.
Or maybe I could fuck this guy up.
Female cop comes in, you're not going to sit there and say, I'm going to fuck this girl up.
And if she's like nice, you get that motherly feeling, man.
Women have a certain.
They have that fucking, what's the thing called that comes off your skin? Pheromones. Pheromones.
And your motherly instinct kicks in.
Seriously,
like, I'm not going to kick the shit out of a girl. A guy comes in, I may be able to kick it. No. I may kick his ass, but I may catch a beating doing it, but if a girl comes in, you're not going to hit her.
Yeah.
Now, Wanda Lee, you believe it or not, she's like 30, I think she's 37. Excuse me, Wanda Lee, if I got that wrong. She's a mother.
Always shoot low, bro. Always shoot low.
I thought she was 22.
Yeah, but she looks like she's 12.
I don't know, from here, she looks 19.
She looks like she's 12. So what police officers, here's another use of somebody such as her.
Please don't arrest me, honey.
Yeah. They'll put her in like the sex crimes. All right.
Oh, really?
They'll put her in like sex crimes where
bad move.
They'll go out and she'll play an underage, because she legitimately can play an underage girl of these sexual predators and stuff. So there's another tool that you always play to people's strengths.
Yeah.
You always do. So yeah, Wanda Lee, she's a great girl.
But now, but again, why so much audio and not YouTube?
Look at his face. That's why we don't do YouTube.
Don't give me that bullshit.
Look at his face.
This goes on every week.
He looks like Joe Rogan.
Who
just got $100 gazillion.
He looks like Joe Rogan's mutated brother.
Who wants to see fucking Grizzly Adams do a fucking YouTube fucking video?
But I mean, really, what's the reason for not going length on in video? Because just me personally, from what you guys are doing, you're trying to touch people that have an issue, and I think. Because when you first look at it, you think it's like, oh, it must be suicide. But as I start digging in, it's not just suicide. Like that's why I had the female cop up, because that's completely opposite than what I think the average person would think your show's about. I think they would think, well, this is all about suicide. That's what I thought. You know, I asked other people. So when you go through, you know, the 60 that you almost got, it's everything under the moon. Mm-hmm. So to me, when I look at it as a place to go for people that might have some mental things they really don't want anybody to know, and they can listen to it, and maybe there's one on there that they can relate to.
Absolutely.
That's because I've seen, You got cops on there. Then you have like your everyday Joe who has a drug issue. And then you have people with issues that I don't even know what their issues is, but there's some type of issue that they have that's in the description.
When I first got involved in the podcast, we had a landscaper on.
Just as a small business, because people don't realize that small business people go through a lot of problems, a lot of difficulties. It's hard to start a small business. You know,
this was a guy who started his own landscaping business with a lawnmower in high school. Didn't have a car. He had to push his lawnmower to the different houses that he had to do, and he built his company up. And he's got a very successful
Because
business.
the bottom line, Tommy, is everybody has their own suffering story. And if you can highlight it, somebody's going to listen to it and somebody's going to grab some information. But getting back to your video point, a lot of that comes from, hey, listen, this podcast was started during COVID. It's just something, it was like something, hey, you know what? I got this little concept. I think it'll be good. Let's put it out there. Maybe it'll, and it was more therapeutic for me as well. But a lot of it comes from, I look at your studio over here. You got a lot of equipment over here. It takes a lot of money, takes a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts to what you do. And we're currently trying to work on video. I think most of it comes from we haven't found our right engineer yet.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I know you got some good guys here.
Yeah, but I've been through some bad guys.
Yeah,
you know, because if your engineer's fucked up, it's all fucked up. You might as well just stick to audio until things are right.
We ran into that one time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh Christ. So yeah, if I ever do audio, I'm going to put a black bar across his face, not to scare the audience.
Go back to tab 1. So now you got these coins, right? So, Kevin, explain what these coins are, what they do, and etc.
So challenge coins are very big in the first responder world and military world. It's kind of like a little thing to say, you know what, I'm with you, brother. On our coin, we have the front, which is the Suffering Podcast. On the back, we have Dental Development Project, which is our nonprofit. We've received so much help during our careers, we decided to start a foundation to pay it forward. So what we do is we help first responders and their families repair dents caused by suffering. Because in a dented person, we consider ourselves dented people. We have some damage on us, but dented things can still operate. We're just not as pretty as we once were. And dents can be repaired.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. But with these challenge coins, it's just a little token to say that, you know what, I support what you're doing. I understand what you're doing. I think you're doing good. And it's a nice little collectible piece for them. Now, my hope for challenge coins, and my hope has always been for challenge coins, not to sit it up on your mantle, not to just let it to sit there and collect dust. Let's say you're going through some problems in your life, and I have this coin that's given me a little bit of hope. Just you know, like I wear prayer beads around my wrist. Just it gives me a little bit of hope, a little something to grab onto, something tangible.
It's still not getting you to heaven.
I'll get there before you, motherfucker. But
listen, you both will get there before me.
But if you're going through some pain, and I say, hey, Tommy, hey, listen, you're not alone. I'm with you on this one, and I hand you this coin. Maybe, just maybe, that might give you a little bit of clarity of thought. Maybe you need some help with, you're having some depression issues, you're having some suicidal thoughts, whatever it may be in your life. Maybe you might have just a moment of clarity just to stop and say, you know what, there's other people out there, there is help out there, there are other people who understand.
And if you carried a challenge coin on you and you're having one of those bad days and you reach in your pocket and you grab that challenge coin, you know you're not alone. You know that there's someone thinking about you.
I could see how that can work. I go to therapy. I go to therapy every Tuesday.
We're therapy kings. Like we've been through so much therapy combined.
Me too.
I think
I've walked out of.
We may have a doctorate in therapy.
But you know, YouTube for me is like therapy, and I could see how this would work because, as you said, and I'm sure you agree, sometimes, like I know when I go to therapy, you know, sometimes I'm having a bad day and just want to snap, whatever it may be, and maybe I'm there for an hour, paying way more than I should to be there, but whatever. He's cool, and I can deal with it because I don't walk in, hey, Tom, how's your day? As soon as I hear that, I'm out the fucking door. Don't ask me about my fucking day. Ask me about something cool, and then try to manipulate me into listening to your bullshit.
But when you get into one of those deep, dark places, like we've all been,
yeah,
you know, you got to get yourself out of it. You got to think of one of your happy places, one of your, you know, comfortable places, your comfort zone. Like I said, with that challenge coin. When you got that challenge coin, that might have been a comfort zone for you because you know someone cares about you. Someone's thinking about you.
And what I was saying, Mike, was that it could be one sentence that I didn't realize at the time. So maybe I'm in there and we're talking about football or whatever. And maybe in that hour, there's 5 minutes he said something. And I don't realize it at the time, like the coin. This is why I think this is really important. And maybe a month later, I'm in a situation. And for some fucking reason, whatever he said to me just happened to pop. So the month that I think I'm wasting my time, that 1 or 2 sentences that popped in my head was the difference between a good decision and a bad decision. So I can fully relate to this coin and believe in it, because if you have something like that, you might just happen to have this in your pocket and look at it and say, no, whatever it is.
It'll bring you back to the good times. When you got that coin, like when Kevin gave you that coin before, you're like, hey, thanks. You know, that's really cool.
Yeah, because it's heavy as fuck. And I was telling you,
it
John,
could be used as a weapon. It could be used as a weapon, too. So don't
fucking say that.
We're trying to make it to the Super Bowl so they can do a coin toss. But you brought up something just something sort of dawned on me. So Mike and I have both been involved in therapy for a very long time with the same therapist. Guy's name's Dr. Eugene Stefanelli. He's the state PBA doctor, and he treats only cops. He understands us. But he held group therapy sessions with all cops involved in critical incidents. And something just dawned on me, and I think I got to apologize for Doc Steph, because I think I just stole his concept. Our podcast is a therapy session. It's a group therapy session.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You've said it before. It's an extension of our group therapy.
Correct. And it's sometimes it's funny, sometimes you laugh your ass off, and sometimes you get real deep. But ultimately, when the goal of every therapist across the country, when you walk out of that therapist's office, unless they don't give a shit, and there are some of them out there, we've been to them, that don't give a shit. You're supposed to,
give a shit.
You're supposed to feel better. And there's some therapists that I've actually, maybe I shouldn't say it on air, that I've threatened.
Mom, it's
yeah.
Well, I've threatened one too.
Yeah, we're the same guy. By the way, the guy that we're talking about, we've both threatened.
I threatened one and probably walked out of 50.
Oh yeah,
because as soon as they start with that monotone voice shit, I'm out, because it ain't gonna work for me.
We had a guy tell. I had a guy tell me, it's the same guy that saw both of us. You're on workers' comp after critical incidents, and they send you to therapy. This guy actually told me, you were a police officer. Didn't you expect to get shot at? And I looked at him and I said, dickhead, do you understand that less than 0.05% of the cops across country get shot at? 0.01 do shootings, and less than that get killed? So no, you take this job, you don't expect that shit, especially in Roseland where I was. Roseland was an upper middle class neighborhood. It still gets my blood boiling every time I talk about it, because this guy was so bad. I walked out of there and it took me 45 minutes to decompress. I wanted to kill him.
Now, you got into something before, like when you walk into a therapist and he says, you know, how you feeling today? I wouldn't fucking be here if I was feeling good.
Right.
You know, so I'd go there and he'd say, how you feeling today? And I'd tell him, you know, how I'm feeling. And he'd look at me and say, well, why are you feeling like that? Isn't it your fucking job to tell me why I'm feeling like that?
Mike,
it's
I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating or playing games. I literally walked out of at least 50. I'm telling you, because as soon as they start that, because
but see, when you're on these workers' comp,
you have to go.
You have to go. Right.
You can't just say fuck you. And
see, I finally found one, and I went in. He was an Italian guy, so kind of if there's an Irish guy, you get along. Whatever.
Hey, listen, I'm half Italian. You point to him when you say Irish.
Irish, whatever. I kind of do look like Conor McGregor.
I'm about 4 foot taller than Conor McGregor, and I don't have the ego he has.
But he's got a lot of money.
Yeah, he's got a lot of money. Yeah.
But I went in and, he wasn't like that. It was like, so what's going on, man? How's business? And he started talking business, and he gave me business tips, right? Nothing about, like, my anxiety, nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck? But he gave me good business tips. Guy's a gazillionaire.
And you walked out of there feeling better.
And I walked out of there feeling better.
That's what a therapist is for,
He didn't ask me how I felt, what was going on. I go back in again. I go, here comes the bomb, right? No, we talk about the news. So did you apply that to your business? I said, yeah, I did. I said, that was a really good move. And it was just changing things around a little bit, and went in. Third time I go in, and he's like, how's it working now? I said, well, it fucking fell apart. He goes, see, you can't listen to what everybody tells you, because it's going to mind fuck you. And my issue was anxiety. So he told me to do something. I did it. It worked. It failed. Then I went back in, and the way he said it to me was when I said, this is my guy. He goes, see, you fucked up. And when he said the word fuck, I said, okay, I'm cool.
Well, that's Doc Steph. So Doc Steff is an old Italian from Newark. All right,
yeah,
Woodstock guy.
Oh yeah.
He's a
See, now that's cool because you can go in and be like, "Hey, dude, look, this is what's up."
But he's a gun-toting Republican.
Yeah,
and he looks like Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so is my guy.
He sits on our board of directors. There's a picture of him on DenonDevelopmentProject.com. He sits on our board of directors for our nonprofit. But he'll come in there and he'll motherfuck this and motherfuck that. He gets it. But that's a therapist. A therapist has to get it. In group therapy sessions, most of the time he'll sit there and shake his head at us because of the shit that comes out of our mouth. But
just how about the sign-up sheet when we went in?
Oh my God! So the sign-up sheet, he has to log who's in there, and on there is Ben Dover and Oliver Closeoff, and whatever name you could, Ajit my drawers or something like that.
And that's how therapy starts. He passes the pad around, everybody signs in.
That motherfucker will look at me every time. Every time he's like, "You did this, didn't you?"
So the guy I went to, right, he says fuck all the time. So automatically I like him. And when I would do something wrong, he'd be like, you're a fucking idiot, dude. Like just like a friend. But then I listen because he's not talking down to me or weird to me. And then he's just funny. He's just like fuck he's just, you can relate to him, just like you were saying with the guy. You know what I mean?
Well, Steph also, so he incorporates certain things too. Every once in a while you do got to dig in a little deep.
Oh yeah, I get hit. But he knows I'm not listening.
After my shooting, I had a big problem with guns, huge problem. So what's this guy do? Now, therapist. Now, I'm on the edge at this point. I'm bad. He brings in a 1945 Colt 45 with the Bakelite handles. It's actually a really beautiful gun. And he says, "Hey, I was going through my closet. I found this one. What do you think of it?" Now, obviously, it was unloaded and it was at a safe environment. We knew each other for quite some time. And I'm holding it there in my hand, and he's watching. He's studying my reaction to this gun.
He's a good therapist.
Yeah, he's studying my reaction because what he was trying to do is judge whether I'm capable of going back to work or not. Because he has to make that decision when he signs off on your when you go in front of the pension board, and he tells me all the time because he's still a very, very dear friend of mine. I'd do anything. I'd jump in front of a bullet for that guy. He tells me, he goes, "I knew at that point you were done." Yeah. So he came to that conclusion. He fucked me up, man, and I'll never forgive him for doing it.
But see, he brought that gun in. That's a good, good therapist. That's a good quality therapist that can get to somebody. Hey, in El Salvador, what's with the police over there? What's it like over there? Because he's gonna run next time for president.
Listen, I'm going to El Salvador and voting for him.
No, he's cool.
He's a Jersey guy too, so he's all right.
No, in El Salvador, they just take care of business, man. There's a video of them grabbing a gang member, and dragging him in the back of a bus, and taking him out.
Now, can you pay the cops off there? Okay, I probably shouldn't ask the president. That's about to run. Go back to the webpage. So, Mike, take me through your webpage. So this is the sufferingpodcast.com webpage.
Well, I think Kevin would be better off with it.
Sure, either one is. Yeah.
He's the one who set this. So, listen, I have to tell you something about this whole podcast. Kevin does everything. He really does. He sets this
Can you give me a soundbite of that, please? Because I'm going to use that against him.
He saved.
He sets this up. He does everything. I go up to his house every Saturday to do the podcast. And I generally if Kevin's not there, I take all the credit for it.
Okay, so go back up to the top so he can explain.
So I do these little teasers. If you scroll up a little bit,
go back up.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Scroll down. I don't know my right from my left. So I do these little teasers, and it's just sort of a little advertising. This hand that you're dealt. We had a little person on. The guy's named Scott Stevens, greatest guy in the world, and he imagine living in his world.
What's his world?
The second row of the cabinets in your kitchen at your house are useless to him. He gets looked at and stared at wherever he goes. He can't use a urinal. Think about that. Can't use a urinal. Has to hop up to use the toilet. People are making fun of him. That's why a lot of little people, and the really bad word with little people, you never call them a midget. Midget is a very offensive word to them. And I learned that from Scott. Scott's actually become one of all these people that have come in and become family to me and very good friends. And Scott has parlayed this, what some people would see as a deficit, into this new life. This guy goes out and he gets hired for parties, and he makes really, really big money. It's it's an amazing story that he does. But he married a full-size woman. He has a full-size child. He still goes to little people conventions, and he has this group of little people. But he also has he grew up in, was it Brooklyn? I believe it was Brooklyn.
I believe it was Brooklyn.
He has his group of friends that would live and die for him.
I'm trying to get the picture. Can you text that to me and I'll airdrop it to him?
What is that?
The picture of Scott.
Oh yeah, so if you go down,
I can play this. Is he
you can play this.
Okay,
Sure.
here,
No,
go back up.
no, he's not on this one.
Okay,
he's not on. He was probably 7 or 8 episodes back, but he was also. And here's the real cool thing. So you learn all these real cool things. He's been an actor and things like that.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Remember Butt Bongo Fiesta by Howard Stern? Mm-hmm. He was one of the little people in that.
I used to watch Howard on E.
Oh yeah,
he was on there.
Yep.
I watched I listened to him on terrestrial. I listened to him on Sirius, and then when he went back to it was like 2 days a week or 3 days a week.
He's changed.
Now he's really changed.
He's changed.
But when he went to the 3 days a week, then I shifted over to Rogan, and I never listened to Rogan ever. The podcast is brought to you by BlueLineMoving.net. Blue Line Moving and Storage is a licensed, bonded, and insured moving company, veteran-owned, and have been operating for over 10 years. They are dedicated to providing excellent service to families across South Florida and nationwide. So it's not just Florida, nationwide. Local and long-distance moving. They have you covered. Doesn't matter where you're at in the country, you're covered. Professional packing and unpacking. What does that mean? Well, that means when you go to move, you don't have to pack up your stuff. You don't have to unpack it. They'll do it for you correctly. You can trust them. Loyalty is everything to them. It's like the mom and pop restaurant you used to go to when you were a kid. Commercial and residential cleaning. It doesn't matter if it's a house or you're moving from office to office. They'll come in and they'll take care of it. They also do pressure washing, trash removal. So you know when you move from one house to another and the landlord's complaining that the driveway looks black, they come and spray it down, make it look clean. Any trash you got laying around, they'll take care of it and be done with it. Transportation of specialty items. Let's say you got a piano or a rookie card that you don't want to lose. They mark it down. They know they got it. They let you know that they got it. And you can call them anytime with the personal moving assistant that they provide. And you can track where your package is at and what estimated time of arrival it will be there. They're not one of those companies that they need 20 people to be going to the same place. If you call them and you need moved, they'll do the job, and everything will be unpacked, packed, cleanly, and you'll walk into a brand new place. So, if you're moving anywhere, whether it's commercial property or residential property, go to BlueLineMoving.net. And the best part of it all, you don't need to call. You don't need to text. You don't need to email. When you go to their website, you can schedule everything online. You don't need to deal with nobody, and they will be there on time and get the job done. So go to www.BlueLineMoving.net. It's worth the time.
I stopped listening.
I copied everything the fucking guys got.
I think Howard changed when Artie left. So
yeah,
Artie,
I loved Artie.
Artie's a friend of mine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
Oh, yeah, he's a Jersey guy.
Yeah, he's a Jersey guy. He lives in Hoboken. And, you know, he's just fallen on tough times and everything. But when Artie left, it wasn't that he got rid of Artie because he couldn't deal with what Artie was doing. Artie was a junkie.
Yeah.
Artie was a junkie through and through.
Self-admitted.
And then sort of just separated himself. When my friends, my true friends, because he always considered Howard a friend, when my true friends go through some damage, I'm going to walk alongside of them until they, and I walked alongside Artie for as long as I could.
Well, you know, Kevin, I had Stuttering John in twice.
Yeah.
You know, and he got killed. You know, he got killed in the comments, but I like the guy. You know, I'm sure he exaggerated a little bit of what Howard did or didn't do, but I believe more than what people want to believe about it, and he was very nice to me. So whatever happened with him and Howard and Robin and whatever his issue is, he was nice to me. He was a funny guest, likes his Coors or his Miller Lite or Coors, whatever the fucking, I mean, the table was fucking covered.
Well,
but
I think it was when he went to Jay Leno, right? So
it was offensive to Howard.
Jay Leno,
Yeah.
Howard got offended.
But that's not a good boss. A good boss is always, hey, listen, if you can leave for a better opportunity, loyalty does last, and you'll always be loyal to a certain boss, but you have to better your life.
But the reason why he did that was because Howard was like penny pinching him, like 5,000. Like the guy just got 500 million the first contract, and prior to that, he was still getting 50 million on radio, and then he would give John, and John might be down, you know, lowballing, but I'm sure somewhere in the range. $5,000 bonuses a year, $10,000. But now Howard's making $20 million, and he felt that he was just, they didn't like him and they were fucking him. And he went and Howard left. He went out of town. And Leno, when Howard went out of town, offered John the job. And I looked it up, and he did. And John, Stuttering John, told Jay Leno, I can't get a hold of Howard now, so I have to decline because I want to at least talk to him first. Howard came back. He told John, it's on record, you know what I mean? It was actually on the show. And then a couple months by went again. I guess it was talk about money again. And John didn't get what he wanted. Leno came back. He left the show and then came back or something. And then John went back to Leno.
I think Howard is gone the way of the world these days. He's placated to a certain audience. And hey, listen, more power to him. More power to him if that's what he wants to do. But people, when I was listening to Howard Stern in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s,
the classic Howard
Stern. He was Howard Stern. He was never afraid to say anything.
He was beyond cutting edge.
Howard Stern was what podcasters are today.
Howard Stern is the GOAT. We wouldn't be sitting here without him.
Correct.
He paved the way for everybody. Nobody could ever touch him. Even if he's got all into the whatever, that's his choice.
Well, even like Sirius and XM radio, once he went over there, Sirius and XM just blew up.
Only he could do that. There's not another person on this planet could
without
do that.
doubt.
I mean, a guy. You want to talk about? See, this might give us hope, Mike, because the guy's face is made for radio. But
You're killing your boy.
Yeah, but he's
so easy.
He's got a beautiful wife too.
Well, he's also got $1 billion. 500, 400, and then another. He just got another 400 for 2 or 3 years, I think, to do 2 days a week.
Really, there's still. I mean, he's got to be getting up there too.
And he gets to work from home.
But it's an art.
That's a person that's older than me.
Yeah,
so
right.
He's definitely getting up there in age.
But it's an art what he does. Yeah. Even to this day, it's an art. That you know that's better than anybody. You're sitting across from. I see you recently had Roger Stone on. Roger Stone's a pretty big deal. So you're sitting across from them. You get past the little starstruckness that you had because we've had decent size. We've had your very own John Elite on. You get past the little starstruck. I don't know, glamour of everything. And then you got to sit there and talk to the person for 2.5, 3 hours and be interesting and be engaging and listen to them. So what Howard does, I do admire what he does because it is really, really an art. Yeah,
again, he's being very vocal about his opinion like he's always been, and this is his opinion and I respect it, but he still does great interviews.
Well, and I always said that about Howard Stern. In my career, I was in the Detective Bureau for 10 years. I went to interview and interrogation classes and everything. Howard's the best interviewer I've ever seen.
I agree with you.
He could get anything out of anybody.
And then he's got Robin to play the sidekick. And then if he can't get it,
there's Robin. There's Robin right
there. I'm Robin Quivers.
Now back to you guys.
He goes good cop, bad cop, though, with Robin.
I know, but that's probably so.
He'll need
Gary's behind it all. Gary's writing that fucking script. Baba Booey's writing that.
And you got
and Fred.
Fred, yeah, Fred's
Fred Norris.
Yeah, fantastic. And
even Jackie Martland was great back in the day. That was
hey, I want to get back to you guys, but now that we're on there, I got to ask about what the fuck. Where'd Richard Christie go? Remember Richard Christie?
Oh, he was a great drummer. Like you ever heard him drum?
Yeah,
it was sick.
You listen to Howard at all, Glenn?
I remember his movie.
Oh, the movie.
So, Richard Christie and Sal the Stockbroker.
Sal the Stockbroker. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't listened to Stern in so many years.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, what did they call all his
the Whack Pack?
The Whack Pack. And then there was something else before.
You could never do Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf, High Pitch Eric,
Beetlejuice.
Oh, you ever met Beetlejuice?
No.
Dude, that motherfucker's out of his mind.
My friend,
he lives actually close.
Yeah,
he's right.
Living in Jersey
my
City.
friend actually goes out with him, and he don't when they go out, they'll go out to the bar, and by the time they get to the bar, he really. I was curious to know if it was part of a pitch stick, yeah. And he really forgets in a half an hour where the fuck he is.
So the one
He's
time,
one funny motherfucker.
The one time I met Beetlejuice, this guy shit his pants, and then tried to blame me for shitting in his pants.
Good move.
Like I did it. Like I put on his underwear and shit in his pants.
I give him credit for that. I would have done the same thing.
If he can pull it off, that's a great move.
But he can because he's a little guy. What are you going to say to him?
Right, but you can never have the Whack Pack today.
No. Oh God. Can you imagine that?
But you take somebody. So going back to Scott Stevens, a little person. You take somebody like Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf. All right, Hank was a horrible horrible alcoholic.
Bad.
Because that lifestyle is very, very difficult. I mean, their arms can't even, they got to bend down to take a leak.
Mike, you remember when Hank would come? Because remember, Howard's show started at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning?
I think it was 6
Go,
o'clock.
go fuck yourself.
Yeah, 7 o'clock, he's bombed.
Yeah.
AM, by the way.
Did you ever hear him do trivia with Rock?
Yeah.
He was like a savant.
Yeah.
But that's Scott. So Scott is a little person. Scott has lived a life that most people can't imagine. Everybody sees these people as clowns or some sort of deformity, but they're real human beings with real human emotions, and they hurt. And Scott talks about it in his episode. He goes, I never really noticed it until I got to the dating age. And, I was the funny guy, and I wasn't a bad-looking guy, but what he says is the girls just stopped. They didn't want to go out with me.
You got to get video. I want to see that on video. You guys got to get a video.
You got to get Scott in here. I'm telling you, this guy is
wonderful.
wonderful.
Bring him with. I'll go do it together. What the fuck?
Bring him with me. It's like a traveling circus.
So here's what people are going to ask. If I buy this coin for $18, where does the $18 go?
So that goes to our nonprofit. That goes to Dental Development Project.
Right, but what does Dental Development Project give the proceeds to?
So we have limited it to, well, it's pretty broad with first responders, but we take care of first responders. So if a first responder comes to us or we hear something, say an officer's involved in a shooting, say we may be able to pay for some good therapy. As we were talking about before, where there are some bad therapists out there, well, we know some good ones. Dr. Eugene Stefanelli or Anna Peisch down in Cranford, or other ones across the country that they would recommend. Somebody who really understands police and first responder mentalities. We might be able to pay for a therapy session with them, give them some help. Say somebody is lost to suicide. Blue suicide is in an epidemic level. Well, maybe we can reach out to their families, because cops believe that when they kill themselves, their family's going to get 3.5 times their salary and they're going to have benefits for life. Well, that's not true. You're going to get the payout, what you put in a pension, and then 60 days later, your benefits are cut off. So now you have a family that's in true need. So what we'll do is maybe we'll buy them a week of groceries, or maybe somebody's really getting screwed on the back end with some bad, say there was a job in a police force or that has bad optics. He did a good job, but, because of the race of a person or whatever it may be, maybe we could donate to his legal defense fund.
So in other words, this isn't going in your pocket. This is all going to a good place.
Not a penny.
Non-profit.
I'll tell you straight up.
Yeah.
We haven't made 1 penny from this thing.
Okay.
We haven't.
Well, Mike bought a haircut.
Yeah. I bought a razor. So
Yeah, he bought it. No, we don't take.
So 99 cents goes to Mike's razor, and then all right. So
I buy the Bix in a dollar store.
Yeah.
But not 1 penny goes into our pocket.
That's cool. Go grab that.
One of the first.
Might save somebody's life.
I don't even think it was a month or two in when we started Dental Development. We gave away a $500 scholarship.
We gave away a $1,000 scholarship.
$1,000 scholarship.
So we had an essay contest. We really wanted to get. It was our first real giveaway after we started this,
because we had our first ever remote podcast. We had to bring our whole studio.
That sucks.
To one of our sponsors at the Hackensack Brewing Company.
So Hackensack Brewing Company. Well, one of our buddies who's also a retired cop, who retired because of a shooting, Alex Ferenzi, he is part owner of it. He allowed us to come in there, and we put out an essay contest. We just wanted to get the word out of what the importance of first responders. So it was what's a first responder mean to you? It was a pretty broad subject, but we held it to people under 14, I think it was, or maybe it was 18. Just something to say. I want the first responders to feel appreciated. So we got a lot of.
So hold on, Kevin. You won't let anybody in under the age of 14?
We put an age limit on it. It's been some time. Just we wanted to hear what the kids thought. We're trying to build up and teach the young kids, because there's so much bad media out there about first responders, because 1 or 2 bad incidents. Well, 99.999% of first responders do a fantastic job, and we couldn't live in this world without them. And I want the kids to know that. I want the kids to realize that.
But why put an age limit on it? Because in middle school, when I was in, they would do PA class or whatever it is. When you go in and you learn how to drive and shit like that.
Well, I think the age on the scholarship.
We considered it a scholarship.
Considered a scholarship, so it was someone that was going to be going to college soon.
And all the
I understand.
A 14-year-old has some years to go to college. Who knows what's going to happen with $1,000 by the time they get to college?
I get it. Now it makes sense.
So we opened it up to the only criteria we had is a member of their family has to be a first responder, as we can fit it into our nonprofit.
Good move.
So we got lots of different entries, and they were wonderful. Every single one of them were wonderful. Even my kids put in something.
Sure.
Obviously, I can't. Sorry, guys. It could have been the best essay in the world. I can't give it.
Kevin wrote it for them.
But we got
my dad is the best.
I don't know nothing.
We got one from a kid named Vincent DePinto. Vincent's got autism. His father is Tom Lesiak, who is who's a police officer, and that's his stepfather, and his father is a Hoboken fireman.
I believe Hoboken.
He wrote this essay, and this is a kid with literally a 6-year-old mentality. He wrote this essay, Tommy. It made me tear up, and we put it out to our board of directors. We had a committee on it, and every single one of them came back.
He actually had one of his teachers help him with it too, just to get the whole. He couldn't put the whole thing together.
Mm-hmm.
He went to one of his teachers and asked for help to actually get. Kid put a lot of effort into it.
It was beautiful.
Good for him.
It was fantastic,
and it was touching. And
there was everybody that read it, myself, Kevin, everybody on our board of directors who voted on this. Everybody had a tear in their eye when they read that letter.
That's awesome.
And that's what it means. So we're getting that message out. Another one we did. Officer was really getting screwed. Again, it was that bad optics situation. We were able to contribute a little bit to him in order, or we'll buy tickets to a beefsteak.
Right. So it's going to the right cause.
We had an officer by us who came down with cancer, and rest in peace, has since passed away. But they had
Sorry to hear that, man.
They had a fundraiser for his family. We bought a couple tickets for it.
Now, Mike, you were an investigator for 3 years, right? You did investigations?
Yeah, I started my career at Bergen County Sheriff's Department. I was hired as an investigator.
And then you went to lieutenant. But
then I transferred departments. I transferred over to Lyndhurst, did a couple years in patrol, and then I was in Detective Bureau for 10 years.
What was it like being an investigator? When you, because I'm looking at it, so if we compare being like an investigator, and then you went to sheriff, right?
I started off with sheriff, and then I moved to a municipal town.
Okay, so when you compare the 2 or 3, what is the worst of each, and what is the best of each? I've always wanted to ask that.
It's so crazy because when you're in a police department, and you're in the patrol division, then you get promoted to detective. Although you're in the same department, 2 totally different jobs. I mean, it's amazing to me how different it is, because when you're in patrol, let's just say you have residential burglary. Patrol gets there, they see there's a burglary, they make sure the scene's safe, then you call in the detectives. At that point, patrol is out of the picture. When you're in a detective bureau, you get called in. Now you got to solve the whole thing.
That's why when I was looking at your LinkedIn, I saw the drastic difference.
Oh yeah,
patrol, pulling people over, going to a house call, and then to me, I want you to tell me. Then to me, I would think a detective, you're basically got a pile of paperwork,
stacks of
paperwork, and you're trying to solve things.
Open cases. It's when you're in patrol. At the end of your shift, as long as all the reports are done and the guys go home safe, your day's over. When you're in the detective bureau, you have to follow up on all the reports. You have to, you go home at night laying in bed thinking, well, I got this burglary investigation I got to look into tomorrow. We got this robbery that happened last week. You got 9,000 things going through your head. And it's not easy going to sleep at night thinking, you're game planning for the next morning. When you go into patrol, you're like, okay, I'll get up, I'll put my uniform on, I'll go in, I'll go to the calls. You could be proactive, but you're reactive because you have to go to every call. When you're in a detective bureau, you're just nonstop. And
you get calls at 3:00 in the morning.
You're
the
on
time,
call.
Right?
You got to get called out at 3:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning. I mean, we had one of the ones that really got me was it was in the dead of winter and it was freezing. I hate cold weather.
But you live in the cold. The cold.
I want to smack my parents in the face for keeping me in New Jersey for so long.
I want to smack your parents in the face for keeping you in New Jersey too.
But we had a guy that I knew personally. Lyndhurst is a small town. Everybody knows everybody. Primarily a drug deal gone bad. 17-year-old kid was dealing a little weed, nothing major. He goes to give weed to a guy. The guy gives him some ripped dollar bills and goes to take off. The dealer grabs onto the car, starts running with him. As they're running, the kid's foot the dealer, his foot gets caught on the tire. He flips over backwards, hits his head on the concrete or on the pavement, smack.
And you see this happen?
Totally cracks his coke. No, it happened right in front of his father.
Oh.
His father was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
So I get called out at 2 o'clock in the morning to come investigate this thing. The initial investigation, 48 straight hours.
So now
outside at the crime scene in the dead of winter, obviously I'm follically impaired. So I did, and the wind is blowing and my head's
He makes it so easy. You make it so easy on me.
Shut up. My head is freezing. And now you have to be at the top of your game. Freezing your ass off. You have to be at the top of your game.
Because if you miss one thing, you could blow the whole fucking thing.
You miss one little thing, you could blow the whole case.
But is it more rewarding as a detective when you solve it?
It's rewarding when you solve it. It's discouraging when you can't solve it.
What did you like better?
Oh, I loved solving cases. Loved it.
Even though it was how when
this
you figured
case
it
I was
out.
just talking about, they gave me a description of the Jeep, and it was a Jeep and I happened to know who owned the Jeep, who was driving a Jeep, and I knew that kid's father.
Wow.
So I got the kid's father on the phone
and then
right away.
And you were able to go tell
and
the guy
said,
you knew. That's
said,
cool. That's fucking cool.
I called the father. I said, "Where's your son?" He said, "Oh, he's out." I said, "Does he have the Jeep tonight?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Get in touch with him. Have him come into our headquarters." He goes, "What's going on?" I said, "You come into headquarters too. I'm going to talk to you." I had to actually tell his father that his son primarily just killed someone. But the kid didn't die. The victim didn't die at first. They took him off to the hospital. This is where the hard part is. I had to tell the driver of the vehicle, I had to tell his father that his son just killed someone. And I had to tell the victim's father that his son passed away in the hospital.
So it's almost like you solve it, and it's that I solved it, but now I have to go tell the families.
And like I said, the problem is I knew people on both sides.
Yeah.
I knew both families.
Nothing's worse than having to tell somebody make a notification. Police officers have to go and make notifications if somebody dies in an accident or some unfortunate incident like this from another town. We have to go and tell the family.
9/11, I had to make 3 notifications in town.
And we're all from up north. And you know how it is there. Everybody knows everybody. It's not like down here where it's the wild, wild west.
Tommy and I were talking before the show. We have a lot of mutual friends. Unfortunately, they're not the best people in the world.
What are you gonna do?
No, they are the best people in the world. They don't have the best reputation.
Hey, some of them are my good friends.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a small world.
You're my good friend. You're nowhere near one of the best people in the world. So.
Now, you were also a policeman too, right?
I was.
And you did patrol?
I did patrol, but my primary focus was on accident investigation. So with accident investigation, just like the Detective Bureau, it's a crime scene until you figure out there's no crime committed. Whether the driver was drunk or somebody ran him off the road, you have to figure all this stuff out.
Kevin, that's different from traffic control?
So with accident investigation in New Jersey, anytime there's a fatal motor vehicle accident, a team has to be called out and there's an investigation that has to be done. All the way down from securing the scene, just like with a burglary, you have to secure the scene. You have to take a look at what's around there, and usually you have patrol. I was a patrolman, but patrol will arrive. Is there anybody to rescue? Nobody to rescue? Okay, game on, call out the investigators. We go out there, and it's the same thing that Mike was just saying. It's hours and hours and hours, and you pour over the minutia and the details of this accident.
An accident investigation, taking measurements, telephone pole to the front tire.
It just appeals to my nature because I'm a math guy.
So you're doing the calculations as to how the accident happened,
right?
And then giving your hypothesis of what you believe.
It's never a hypothesis.
No,
never once is a hypothesis. It's fact. So, through calculations,
you know what they do too. I mean, they measure skid marks and all that. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Skid marks, yaw marks.
Tell how fast a car is going at the point of impact.
A skid stop mark, you can measure, you can get there's calculations, and usually the calculations are about a yard long. So it's how fast it's going, a yaw mark, the striations, whether it's accelerating, decelerating. You pull the headlamps to see if the headlamps were on, because the headlamps are made out of tungsten steel, and if they're on, they're going to bend when the collision happens. Then you deal with the car. You got to do crush depth measurements to figure out the speed. If a car flips over, there's flip fall velocity. These are all things, and I loved it. Most people hated it. I loved it.
Well, you're a numbers guy.
But it's also a puzzle.
And a puzzle, yeah.
It's a puzzle that you're thrown in, and hey, put it together.
Like something like that, my patience would be like that. Now,
Dude, I got anxiety just listening
to
that.
Now, if I'm trying to get somebody that hurt somebody like I know or I just know was wrong, I would have this like I have to win. I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
But all them calculations and shit, I last about 5 seconds, man. So thank goodness for people like you.
But then people just see an accident and say, "Oh, an accident,"
Yeah, well, that's what you think.
You don't know the backstory of what's going on behind the scenes with an accident with guys like Kevin in the accident response teams.
But then
I never heard of that.
But then you go out, and then you have to follow the body, because now once the car is done, the body is now a chain of evidence. Just like if you were to pull a dime bag off
you got to follow the body.
You got to follow the body. Now they have to autopsy the body, because it's technically a sudden death. And in New Jersey, any sudden death, you have to have an autopsy unless there's obvious signs. So we'd have to sit inside the autopsy room and watch.
Or they have some power and they just don't do the autopsy.
Yeah, well, that happens quite a bit too.
La la la.
Yeah.
Again.
But you go through that autopsy.
This doesn't happen in El Salvador.
Now, Tommy, most people say, well, how could you sit through an autopsy? So I'll put it to you this way: you work out. I know you boxed, right? Mm-hmm. So you're physically fit. You know the muscles of the body. You know everything. When they cut open that body, as long as you can disassociate yourself that used to be a human being, it is the most fascinating thing in the world to see the things that you've only read about in living color. Yeah. You see bone, you see muscle, you see human fat, which is it's so yellow you don't realize this stuff, speckled with a little bit of red. They pull when they pull the face over the pituitary gland. I absolutely loved it.
You won't believe it, but I studied liver enzymes. I had a piece of liver, looked at it under a microscope, and then I started getting really into the brain, like the beta antagonists and how they fire with the A1, A2, A6. Now I'm heavy into that.
I love it.
But now calculating tire marks, I'd be like, get the measuring tape out.
But you got to actually see an autopsy, and I'm sure Kevin could attest to this. I've been to quite a few autopsies. Right? They cut your hairline. Right? They take what really looks like a shoehorn, put it down between your skin, pull your face down over your chin. Then they take what it's like a Dremel tool, right? They cut the top of your head.
Well, they cut the ribs with there's a medical version of this, but most autopsies, most mortuaries will have hedge clippers.
Yeah.
What?
Hedge clippers, like for branches.
Did you know this, Glenn? You said hedge clippers.
They'll take hedge clippers and cut the ribs.
They cut your rib cage open. Well, they cut you down.
I guess it gets the job done.
They put an eye in your chest, straight down, straight across, straight across. They open your skin. Then they take, like Kev said, hedge clippers, cut your rib cage open, pull your rib cage out, and just like put it on the table.
But here's the thing. So I'll give you one example why this starts to become fascinating.
This is on record. I don't want an autopsy.
No, don't get. If you really care about somebody, you never want an autopsy.
Hell no.
But so there was a fatal accident where, also another reason you never want to get somebody autopsies is the humor that goes on in there, because that's how you deal with stress. The humor's really sick, really sick. So there was an elderly couple that smashed into a tree. We believe the guy had a massive medical event. So they bring I go to the autopsy, and it was an elderly husband and a wife. We knew a bunch of stuff. So as they go in there, first of all, the doctor says, I say, look, I know they went to Costco, they had sausage and peppers and stuff, and he goes, and they're coming home, and they smack into a tree. And he goes, what happened? The wife asked him to go to Walmart, and he just ended it. But anyway, so the woman, they're laying on the table naked. There's no dignity in it. And she just has a little bruise on her chest. So then they open her up. And then as they open her up, you see the blood fill the actual bruise, what it looks like under the skin. Then they open up the rib cage, and then you just see the blood pour out. Because what happened was the heart, the aortic tear, it was still pumping, and it just filled the cavity with blood. So there's your cause of death. It's sudden impact, aortic tear, bleeding out, things of that nature.
Now, after seeing both of you guys with the autopsies, you know, and kind of looking at death in, I don't know how much closer you can get to looking at
face.
Right. Do you guys think that there's other life, extraterrestrial life? Like, do you believe in that or no?
We'd be humans are the only selfish species to think that if the universe is endless, that we're the only one out there. How selfish do you think you are to think that happens?
You think that too?
He is one.
I died years ago.
No, you're an alien.
Yeah.
He's in the sixth dimension.
You know, I
like, just as a detective, like, just, you know, things you see, things you hear.
well, you know, I could relate this to the podcast. Then we had a medium come on. We had a medium come on one day. Heather Julia Campbell. Heather Julia Campbell. Sorry about that. She's a medium, and she talks to the afterlife. And when we had her on, she was talking about, and she just pulled something out of, I don't know if she was reading, Kevin, right?
Oh, dude, I had to stop recording. This kind of freaked me out.
Freaked him out.
And I cut it out of the episode because it freaked me out so bad.
Well, why was it?
She started talking about, go ahead, Kev, you probably know better. But.
So I didn't have the best relationship with my father. My father died January 26th of 2020.
It was just the other day when we were
we were here.
Well, the anniversary of it the other day.
Yeah, we were here. Your father just passed?
No, just a piece of shit.
Well, so I had a contentious relationship. I didn't speak to my father probably the last 2 years of his life, and the couple days before he died, he leaves me a voicemail, and it was a really bad voicemail. Like and I didn't call him back. He had COVID. Well, see, my father was very unhealthy, so he goes into the hospital. He's in liver failure, and in the hospital he gets COVID. So he's technically technically died of COVID, and he calls me, and you can hear the rasp in his voice with the COVID. It bothered me, and I still have the voicemail on my phone, although I never listened to it fully. I never called him back. He dies 3 days later. All right, so here's the unfinished business.
Sorry to hear
that. It's a real mixed emotion thing. You know, it bothers me, and at the same time, it doesn't bother me. I don't know if you can understand.
I just went through. I just lost my mom.
Yeah,
I didn't leave my couch for I didn't leave the couch for 2 months.
Yeah.
No work, no computer. I didn't give a fuck because I couldn't.
Well, that's your parent, man.
Well, we saved her. She had colon cancer in 2001. We saved her from that, stage 5. They said 6 weeks to live. Got her through that. This time, tried to help, but it was shit. I didn't even know. You know, Italian women, Irish, they're the same way. They don't tell you shit.
5'2", right?
Grandma was 4'4".
There you go.
Her husband was 6'6", which I got none of. And
to them, getting dressed up was the kitchen gown, cooking.
Fucking hair out to here.
My Italian my grandmother was actually Armenian, but she had every curlers in her hair. She had a wrap around it. She had the kitchen robe on, and she did nothing but cook all day.
Nothing but and everything you had to have a side of pasta with everything.
So
cereal, pasta.
Heather is in our studio, and this is pretty recent. This is probably
and cook for an army for 2 people.
For 2 people, like party trays.
I've been to Irish places too, bro. You use her the same way, but you just got a ton of liquor there with you too.
Our food sucks though. We like haggis. It's disgusting.
You guys are funny though.
Shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie.
I never played blackjack with an Irishman. Fuck that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Heather starts looking at me, and she starts talking like, I said, well, who's the type of people you try to help or something along those lines? And she says, you know, maybe looking right at me. She goes, well, maybe you didn't get along with your father, and you had a bad relationship with your father in the last couple of years of your life. You didn't listen. And she starts reeling off all this shit, all this stuff. And I'm like, holy fuck. And I'm like you, I got a notepad in front of me, and I'm writing notes and stuff to talk about. And I put the pen down, and I just start looking at her.
And now I sense this. Like, I know Kevin, and I could read off of him, and I could play off him. I know something clicked, and I'm like, oh no. I
hit the T, because again, like you've pointed out very painfully to me, I hurt my feelings with that with no video. I do this.
I was trying to just help you.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I greatly appreciate it.
Appreciate the support.
I hit the T. I said time out. I stop, and I look at her very seriously, and I'm very kind to my guests, and I do appreciate them. And I said, how the fuck did you know that? Like I almost
I just saw the cop in you.
Yeah. I said, how the fuck did you know that?
I just saw the cop in you.
Every once in a while it comes out. And she goes, well, I don't know. I guess I just pulled it out. I guess I was reading something or the energy in this room. And then I tell her and she goes, and she starts telling other things. It was bizarre. Like I'm not a big believer in that stuff. If it's there, it's there. I just don't really get involved with it. That day, that woman made me a believer.
But why cut it out, though?
It's painful. It was pain.
Well, you're the Suffering Podcast, so you should have kept it in there.
Because that's a whole other episode, maybe.
Yeah, but we're not getting...
I cut it.
Our podcast is to go through suffering to attain success. You go through that kind of suffering, I don't want to know what a dead relative thinks of me. Now you think about that.
Just don't look at me in the bathroom.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got a dead relative. The day you die, you go upstairs. They're going to look at you and go,
"You're a sinner.
You disgusting fool."
I could see where the mind fuck is possible.
And I also fucked it up. I really did. I fucked it up. Because it
threw you off.
It caught me so off guard. I didn't know what to do. I've had very few moments like that in my life where I became speechless. You know, Mike always says I talk way too much, but
as you've noticed,
yeah. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Now, in the future, I might have her come back because I'm a big believer in, listen, if I'm going to ask you about your damage, I better be willing to put my damage on the table. So in the future, we've been talking about this recently. It's funny you bring this up because I think to bring her back and to do that reading, you
got to be on video though.
It's got to because you're going to see me cry. First of all,
so what?
Yeah,
that makes you more real, dude.
No, listen, you'll see me cry. Kevin will edit himself out. He's always trying to make me look bad.
Ultimate control of editing, Tommy, is the
I'm
biggest
taking over
gift.
editing next month.
So now you guys got some pretty cool merchandise. Are you going to expand on that in the future? You got sweatshirts, T-shirts.
Yeah, we're.
I like the symbol. I think the symbol's badass.
I came up with it.
Did you?
No.
I don't believe you.
No.
Click on the T-shirt on the right. Go to the right.
So we actually brought some T-shirts in there. Unfortunately, I don't have Tommy's size today, but I'm going to mail you one because I have one in my house.
Can you click on that? It's not clicking. Oh, there you go. Okay.
So this is a company, and on the front is our Suffering Podcast logo. We do our nonprofit and the podcast sort of in tandem with each other. One's sort of like a media outlet.
Click the back, Glenn.
So if you go on the back, this is our slogan.
Let's go to let's look at this for a minute. Right, our slogan is it really is. We're not broken, but we're pretty fucking dented.
We can't put that on a T-shirt. No kid will wear it.
But how do we come up with that logo or that slogan?
I think one of my kids came up with it.
Fuck yourself. I did it.
Yeah, see.
All me. I am the brains of this operation. If you haven't noticed it yet, I'm the brains of the operation.
That would make me the looks. So your brains aren't really speaking for themselves.
That's why we don't have video.
Yeah.
Because you're the look.
Jesus Christ. I didn't come here for 2 hours to get abused, Tommy.
So now, 3 days of abuse.
Now you got the cool logo. Are you going to expand on it like coffee cups and everything else eventually? Or are you going to keep it to... I like the sweatshirt. Sweatshirt looks pretty thick. Are they pretty thick?
Yeah, they're nice and they fit well too.
I actually have one in the car.
Yeah, I should have brought it up.
We're in Florida, so I didn't wear a sweatshirt.
Yeah, you don't.
But I do have it in the car.
But we've looked into different type of items. Everybody sells T-shirts, which is great. You know, I want people to wear our T-shirts to show that they support us. But there are other pieces of merchandise you can get involved in. There's I like coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker. I'd love to have my own coffee line. And do it dented coffee or suffering coffee, whatever it may be. That's really what I want to do. But yeah, that's going to be expanded a little bit. It's basic. I know it's basic.
Generic right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Go over to
we're only
the
a
last
year
tab, Glenn.
We're only a year into our podcast, so we're trying to feel our way every day.
And you're trying to figure things out. Like right now you're just trying to figure out your flow. So now your YouTube channel is
Okay,
go ahead.
Real quick. The reason we don't have video.
Yeah.
Look at that picture.
So you do those. I mean, you do these little things.
Clickable. I mean, it's kind of like, what the hell's going on?
What's wrong with that guy? Type of thing.
Exactly.
But it's kind of clickable.
Listen, he puts those things out for sympathy.
Oh, Jesus, man. I got to do a different splash page. Now you just brought that to my attention.
Now I can really see.
Oh, jeez.
You can thank Glenn in the back there for that.
Thanks,
one.
Glenn.
You don't got a bitch at Mike for that one.
No.
Hey, Glenn, Kev's not moving to El Salvador to vote for you either now. So
you just lost the vote, bro. Sorry. Don't ask me to pay you.
Oh, my God. That's all. And you know what? That's a year ago. So every winter I grow my beard long. But I know it's winter because that was one of the few times
I'll tell you what I like. I think you can't play YouTube when it's on YouTube.
No, that's
okay. But your intro's badass.
Yeah. So the intro I came up.
I like that music.
I did that on my phone.
Did you?
Yeah. Again, it was during COVID.
Whoever's watching this, even whatever you like, you don't like, it's worth it to click on the Suffering Podcast intro because I listened to it before I worked out this morning.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Which episode?
No, the intro.
Oh, the intro.
Music.
Oh, yeah. Episode 9. Oh,
yeah.
He's such an egomaniac.
It's good. It's good. What do you want me to tell you?
But
see, the way I got involved in a podcast, like I said, me and Kevin have known each other for all of 25 years, on and off. Kevin used to work with my brother. So we met back when they were working together. So we knew each other, but, I mean, we weren't really friendly. Hated the motherfucker in the beginning, but we weren't really friendly.
Still hates me.
So what did you guys like meet in passing by?
No, we met
over time.
So we met in group therapy.
So here's an interesting story. So I work with Mike's brother Frank 25 years ago.
And Frank's on our board of directors now also.
Correct.
Who does a great job. Well, shameless plug.
At the Drunken Corner on Instagram. So he's tied into the cigar community. But anyway, I worked with him and I would see Mike and I knew Mike, and you'd see him in passing here and there. So I got involved in that group therapy with that doctor I was telling you about, and as I got through mine, I'd already retired, so it never goes away, but I was starting to get a little bit better, and here I see him come walking in. I'm like, holy shit, it's Mike. I go, hey Mike, what's up? And you can see it in his eyes. He's about to go on a real wild ride, and there's nothing I can do to help him.
When you go through these traumatic, incidents, you just have a look about you.
So Mike, before Kevin explains, tell me the story of what happened to you that landed you in group therapy, and then you tell me what happened to you that landed you there that then got you guys together. Okay. So we'll start with Mike. So what happened to you that you ended up going to group therapy?
It was September 16th, 2014. I was a patrol sergeant. I was a road supervisor, working, obviously, midnight shift. We're working 7 at night to 7 in the morning. We get a call from one town south of us that there were 2 males trying to break into a car. The owner of the car has cameras in the house. They saw him breaking into the cars on the cameras. Lady comes out and she scares them away. They jump into a black SUV. They give out the alert to looking for a black SUV that was trying to break into cars. One of the car makes it into the town that I work in. One of our guys goes to pull it over. Guy takes off on him. The car was driving 90 miles an hour, so he lost him. We didn't continue the pursuit, but the guy never actually made it out of our town. A couple minutes later, another one of our cars sees it. He turns on the overhead lights. He starts pursuing the car. Guy takes off. The suspect vehicle takes off on him too. Chasing him through some streets in town, hits a main road in our town, which is it's an extension. It's not a highway, but it's an extension of a highway. Main road, like I said, 2:25 in the morning at this point. There's nobody on the road. Guy's doing 90 miles an hour. So in New Jersey, we have guidelines for pursuits. This was borderline.
What's the guideline? 90 or 80 or how do they?
There's 9,000
safety to the motoring public and citizens.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's very subjective.
It's subjective. But
Yeah.
but at 2:25 in the morning, there's no motoring public. There's nobody on the road.
Right.
Long story short, my guy's chasing them. They're going northbound. I happen to turn onto that street southbound. The suspect vehicle comes at me head on at 90 miles an hour. Missed me by 5 feet. I turned out of the way. He turned out of the way. He winds up losing control of his car. He hits a they had construction detail going on. He hits a construction sand barrel. As he hits a sand barrel, the car turns sideways. Police car pulls in behind him to block him in. He puts the car in reverse, trying to back out and get some leverage to move his car and take off. We come up on the passenger side, guns drawn. Going up to the car saying, show me your hands, show me your hands. And I tell everybody all the time, I'll never forget it. We come up on the passenger side. He had his left hand on the steering wheel. looking out the passenger side window, staring me right in the face, reaching down between the driver's seat and the center console. He pulls his hand up. We shoot him before he shoots us. He had a stolen .357 Magnum in his hand. But I said that one of the things that got me is, I mean, I put a bullet in a guy's forehead from 4 feet away.
That's close.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I see almost every night. I mean, we're talking 2014. I see that's one of the lasting images I see every night before I put my head on a pillow. So after he gets shot, his body goes limp and his foot presses down on the gas pedal. Now it's, you know, metal to the floor, and the wheels are spinning out of control. The tire, the whole left side of my uniform, my face, everything had burned rubber from the tire breaking up. You had road shrapnel coming up, like the cement was breaking up, and that was all hitting me. I had burns all over my face from the burned rubber. So now I figure we got to shut the car off at one point. At one point when I was there, I remember seeing, when you go through these incidents, some things are, you remember almost everything, but some things are kind of fuzzy, you know. But I do remember seeing a key in the ignition of the car. It was carjacked earlier in the day at gunpoint. So the guy still left the key in the car. So I remember seeing a key, and I'm like, I got to get that car turned off somehow. So I take out, we had expandable batons. I take out my expandable baton. I break the window out, and I go to reach in to hit the ignition. Passenger popped up right in my face.
Whoa.
Never knew there was a passenger in the car. We fired right over him. What happened was it came out later when the passenger told his whole story. They made a pact that they were going to do anything they could to get away that night. And the passenger knew that the driver had a gun on him. So when the passenger saw us come up to the passenger side of the car, he put the seat and reclined, and he laid back. So we wound up firing right over the passenger.
Wow.
So like I said, I break the window out. I go to reach in. Passenger comes up. I tell people all the time, he was close enough to kiss me. If he had a knife or a gun, I was long gone.
Now, when you're 4 feet away, you got to be getting blood splatters shot back at you?
No, at that point, the windows were all still closed.
Oh, okay.
I fired right through the window.
Right through the window.
My bullet went...
It's amazing that, and I've heard Mike's story so many times, but one of the things that always amazes me about it is he shot through the window. And when you shoot through a window, there's a maximum you use where you got to shoot high or shoot low. The fact that he hit him where he did it's very difficult to do that. It's almost impossible to do it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. Where exactly did you hit the guy at?
Right dead in the center of the
Right
forehead.
dead in the forehead.
Right dead in the center of the forehead. Yeah. And then there was another, like I said, he was backing into a car, so the car was bucking back and forth. You know, he was like revving the gas, and it's hitting a police car behind him. The car's just bucking back and forth. One of my shots went right through the windshield, and the other, where the front door comes down, it went right through the column. You know, because, I mean, my shots were maybe 4 inches apart. One went through the windshield, and I guess when a second shot fired, the car happened to be bucking forward. It went right through the column, and that bullet still hit him, too.
So there's fire back and forth on these, and this is something that people have to understand about police world. Shootings are very, very difficult to get involved in because police, the adrenaline's pumping, and you're not really thinking clearly. So Mike's shot going this way, he has to make sure all at once that he's trying to hit his mark without collateral damage or hurting one of his other officers.
But the other thing, like I said, when the car pulled in behind him to block him in, that officer got out of the car, went around to the driver's side of the vehicle. So that officer was on the other side. Now, we talk all the time in law enforcement about crossfire situations. You know, you never line up across from someone because, first of all, if you miss, you're going to hit the other officer. If the bullet goes, listen, I was a submachine gun operator. I had a submachine gun in my car. And it held .223 rounds. That bullet would have went through him, through the door, through the officer, through the other car.
And 10 other people
would have wound up in a house somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank God they didn't pull out my .223 that night.
Right. And you're saying that because in that situation, tell me if I'm wrong, the passenger was laying down.
Yeah, he laid.
So another officer with you walks around.
Yeah.
If you would have had a fire again, that guy pops up at the wrong time, not the way it happened. you would have had a fire, right?
We had an officer on the other side of the car too. He wound up shooting. He could have shot. Well, he could have shot me. He could have shot the driver who was shot already. He could have shot the passenger if the passenger popped up.
Now, after this takes place, what does this send you down a spiral?
Oh yeah.
And then what happens?
Spiral.
Well, what was the spiral?
You know, it's just my shooting was the first officer-involved fatal shooting in my town's history.
Oh,
so nobody really knew what to do.
Yeah.
You know, I say we were flying at the seat of our pants at my expense. You know, because I was like the guinea pig now. You know, I was the one that, you know, oh, okay, we have to do this, we have to do that. Nobody knew what to do. Listen, I don't want to blame my department. My chief of police was excellent. He was fantastic. He was in my corner. He was up my ass with everything. You need anything, you know, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this. But they didn't know what to do in a case of a fatal shooting because they never had it before.
It was a small town.
It was a small town.
I know where you were at. Now, once that happens, do they start looking at you as if you did something wrong? Or, like, you know, they do that? And I know it's a small town, so that's why I'm
This
curious.
is where the problem with the system comes in. Right after the shooting, people ask me, like, would you do anything different about it? I wouldn't do a thing different about it. I know I did exactly what I was supposed to do, what I was paid to do, what I'm expected to do, what I'm trained to do. Then everybody at the scene tells you, great shoot, perfect shoot, you know, all guidelines, everything were met, you know, we have to present it to grand jury.
Now, how are you feeling at that point? Because now you've just did your job as an officer. You took the skills that you learned in training and applied them to a very hostile situation, and now you have to go in front of a grand jury.
See, the thing is, and the way I explain it, I don't know if you could really feel it. I never felt wrong. I knew I did, but I just felt dirty. You know, I felt like there was just something wrong.
Well, you still have no matter who it is, you still have a death. You have a conscience.
You have a conscience.
You're not a heartless fuck.
You
know what I mean?
And I always say that. Listen, believe me, I know because they were all over the media. He's got a mother that loves him, a sister that loves him, and a grandmother that loves him because they were all over the media bad-mouthing me because they weren't getting the proper story. Right. They were getting a media sensationalized story, which to this day bothers me. It'll bother me to the day I die. Unless I ever get to meet that family, which I don't think that will ever happen.
I hope you do.
I want to tell them my side of the story.
Maybe you
what
can
actually happened.
And then maybe that picture at night will go away.
I've tried to.
You don't give up, Mike.
I've tried to talk to people. I've been advised by plenty of people not to do it. Like the guy was a blood member. The passenger was a blood member. His mother was a blood member. The driver's.
So it's real dangerous.
It's really.
Yeah. I didn't know it was a gang member.
Yeah.
You walk in there, you might not walk out.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe if you could do it by phone, like a burn phone, so they can't track you.
You were from the north. They were from Newark, New Jersey.
Oh fuck.
So you know. Listen, I'm not going to Newark.
No, listen, I'm not going to Newark, and I'm sure as hell not going to North Philly.
But the problem is what people don't understand is like the after effects of it. You know, the sleepless nights, and Kevin could attest to this. You know, you're sleeping for an hour at a time. You're getting terrible nightmares. Like I said, I woke up in a cold sweat, not knowing if I pissed myself. That's how wet I was.
We think that post-traumatic stress, and I want to make this very clear. So post-traumatic stress is what is commonly referred to as post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD.
Okay, the disorder, we got to get rid of the disorder. It's a big mission that we're on right now because it's not a disorder, it's a brain injury. What Mike went through was a brain injury. My definition of post-traumatic stress, how it relates to us, is knowing you're going to die and not dying, then having to live with the after effects. When that passenger popped up in the car next to Mike, if that guy he could have killed him with a gum wrapper, and Mike could have no longer been here. He wouldn't have been sitting here right now. His kids would have been fatherless, and his then wife would have been husbandless.
Well, post-traumatic stress could be 100 different things.
Though, as it relates to what we think it is.
But post-traumatic stress, medically, would be anything that had happened in your past that now you could say bothers you, affects your life, makes your life different than what it was, changes your...
There's different levels of post-traumatic stress. You know,
That's what I'm kind of trying.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
No.
I know exactly where you're going. I mean, anybody could have post-traumatic stress. You could see something that bothered you in your childhood, and it still sticks with you today. Like Kevin says it all the time. Most citizens, I'm going to steal your line. Most citizens see.
This is my statistic. I want everybody to know that.
1 to 2.
I bit off
right?
Rogan, so got 1 or 2.
1 to 2 traumatic incidents in your life. First responder or police officer sees over 800 in their career. So those people who have post-traumatic stress from the one incident they saw when they were younger or whatever, or one incident in their lifetime, times that by 800. And that's what a police officer goes through every day.
Now, my question to you, Mike, is who would want to be a cop right now? They're defunding them. They're shooting left and right. And I just read, and I don't know if it's true. I've read it more than once, so I'm assuming it's true, but I'm no cop, right? In California and New York, they're letting, like, if it's a high-speed chase with a gun, let them go.
New Jersey, you can't chase anymore.
Yeah.
Even if, like a gunfight, right? So I'm not seeing shit. Because I saw it in the New York Post, I saw it in the Times, and I saw it in the Wall Street Journal.
You primarily can't chase anybody anymore. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, most police, in departments in New Jersey, most police vehicles are now SUVs, which is not a pursuit vehicle. So you couldn't pursue any. They took away the crash bars that are in the front to protect them.
What? Really?
Yeah. They were push bars, not crash bars.
Okay. I was a crash guy.
So I got 2 former police officers, detective, all that shit, right? And when I say shit, I don't mean disrespect. Right?
No, you can shit on them all you want.
Retired as a lieutenant.
Hey.
So yeah,
He's got
and lieutenant too.
He's got knee pads. That's why.
Yeah.
I got a 20 here for you. I'm just fucking with you.
Kevin retired as a patrolman, so you know how good his career was. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But with all this going on, and like I said, I keep reading it, so I want to factually know they're allowing a high-speed gun chase to go on where citizens and other cars are around. You're not supposed to chase them, and I guess that goes 2 ways, right? Because if you chase them, you're risking a lot of shit. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that as cops? Former cops.
I don't know what the actual guidelines are now. I don't know.
They update the Attorney General's guidelines so frequently, it's impossible.
I don't know if a guy's shooting at a cop or something. I mean, there used to be what they used to call the big 3 or whatever that you could chase for. It was murder, robbery.
But yet running from the police enters into one of those. Yeah. So when I first got on, you could always make a case for why you chased a vehicle. Let's say they shoplifted out of there.
You could find 100 reasons.
Right. Now, if they run from you, it was a class felony. I forget the terminology of it. But if they run from you, well, that was one of the reasons you could chase them. That's what it is. Right, you have the right to pull them over. They run. So it was kind of, you used your best discretion. Would you chase for shoplifting? Absolutely not. It's just not worth it. Somebody could get hurt. There could be collateral damage. They're driving. These kids, I got to be honest with you, these kids,
no, I know.
They can drive.
I know.
Well, like I said, in my pursuit, the original pursuing guy said, I don't know how the guy kept control of the car that long.
I've been in pursuits where 14, 15-year-old kids could outdrive any NASCAR driver.
Yeah.
And
they're growing up and they got the GTIs and they're upgrading with the new speed. But again, Mike, who would want to be a cop right now? Even if you were growing up and you want to put on the uniform.
I still would want to be.
Would you?
Absolutely. I'd give back my pension tomorrow if they allow me to come back.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Well, that means your heart's in it, to me.
Because it's a life of service.
But if you're growing up and you see how they're treating cops now, to me, and I've never been a cop, I've been on the other end. But to me, I would be, even if I wanted to do it, I'd be like, wait a minute. One day I'm going to have a family. And you're going to pay me, what, 30 grand a year, 40 grand a year as a patrolman to start maybe? I know
in New Jersey, they get paid very well. It's a lot.
I'm going by PA, so I apologize. But in Pennsylvania, I think they start 35, something like that.
Yeah. I started at 24,000.
Okay, even worse.
But that was Wyatt Earp was his police chief. That's why.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I mean, I'm saying your gross is under 50K a year to risk your life. Now they're taught, now it's the funding thing, and you can do this and you can't do that. And if I'm an officer now, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do.
Well, I'll put it into terms that you can understand. So you do this show, you do this podcast. When you walk out of here, how do you feel? When you're hearing you got some guys in here, you got some real problems, real tough stories. When you go out of there, how do you feel?
Relieved.
You feel relieved. So as a police officer going in there, no police officer ever wants to be a police officer for shootouts and things like this. It's those little things that you do.
No good police officer.
No good police officer. And there are some bad ones. But no good police officer ever wants to do that. You enter into a life of service because you strongly believe that you can make a change in this world. You're very idealistic. You can make a change in this world. And when you make that change, when that does happen, that feeling you have walking out this door, feeling relieved, multiply that by 1,000,000, and that's what you got. And it's an unbelievable feeling.
But Kevin, you've had that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
A kid growing up hasn't had that feeling. So I'm saying, I don't know how that kid who wants to be that without having experienced that feeling of success, like I've solved something, I've helped somebody, that their heart is in it. I can't imagine who, even if that was the love, do that, because one, it's not enough money to have a family nowadays, just to start out, in my opinion. Maybe somebody can live like that.
Not
I
in
don't
New
think it
Jersey.
is. Two, that kind of money to risk my life every day and maybe not go home to my kid or my wife, no way. Even if it's my love, I want to see my family. I'm not doing it. So I think, to me, in my opinion, you guys have had the experience. You've had the ups and the downs, obviously, but you've had the ups. You've had that accomplishment at the end. But a kid that's growing up that puts on the badge and it's cool. You know, I used to do it. I used to walk around and, you know, I dressed, believe it or not, I dressed up like a cop for Halloween before. You know, it was cool.
Kevin still does. But Tom, I'm in lockstep with you on this one. I know exactly where
you know where I'm coming from.
I was a cop through and through. I loved my job. I loved every minute of it. I took 8 sick days in 20 years. And that was mainly when my kids were sick.
You had 8 sick days in 20 years.
Because I loved it. I was always told, if you love what you're doing, you never work a day.
It's never work. Yeah.
I mean, I loved going into work. I loved putting a uniform on. I loved going in and seeing the guys. And to me, it was more fun than work. You know, we went in, we had a lot of fun, you know, and we were very effective at what we did. We did our job right. When it was time to work, we worked. When it was time to fuck around, we fucked around, you know.
Wow.
I mean, not
it was like a brotherhood.
Oh, yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, playing jokes on people. Like, you'd see a good-looking girl standing on the corner waiting for a bus, and you'd call a car and say, you know, there's a party to meet you at Ridge and 6th, you know. And then you see all the cars flock there because that was like the code for, like, hey, there's a good-looking girl standing on the corner.
I think if people knew that, they would look at police officers differently.
Oh, without doubt.
We're people.
We can't.
We're human beings.
Right, but
we can't let that go out because, you know.
Well, you just screwed it up for everybody.
No, but I think.
Listen, I'm out of the game now. So.
But what I mean is, I think if people knew that, and you come up to the car, it's like, oh, this is the fucking guy that was out trying to hit the girl off. Yeah. All right, hey, how you doing, Mike? All right, yeah, I just think it would. The risk would go down 50%.
Well, you also got
to. There's a human side to law enforcement. We're not fucking robots. You know, I always tell people, this is a badge on my chest. This isn't an S. I'm not fucking Superman. I'm a human being. You know, and we think the same way you do.
But you also have to remember this, and to answer your question, why do kids want to become police officers? Nothing against accountants, or I'm going to pick accountant. How many movies, besides Ben Affleck movie, how many movies do they make? Yeah, it was a good movie. How many movies do they make about accountants? They make movies about police officers every single day.
Yeah.
And it's the allure is there because even though
I disagree with you. Yeah. I just in my opinion, I could be wrong. And I respect that. I'm open-minded, so I could be wrong. Just what I've seen from doing YouTube and talking to people and a bunch of CIA guys and shit like that. It's just...
It'll rubber band back.
I think
it'll rubber band back.
I completely,
especially with these 2 officers that just died in New York. So you're going to start
seeing some rally around.
Yeah.
From an outsider's view, this is what I think is going to happen. I think one day one of the upper ups and the ups, they're going to have to call the cops. And when and when the cop says, "Whoa, they stole $800 from you," no, we're not coming there.
Well, I say that all the time. Nothing is going to be changed in this world until something drastic happens to a politician or his family.
There you go.
Well, that's what happens.
And then you got to call the cops.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then
all these defund the police people.
Right. Now you're going to call the cop that you just voted to defund.
You want to defund the police, your house gets broken into, call a crack dealer so they can do something for you.
They start eating themselves, these organizations. Yes, they are. They're already starting to eat themselves.
But that's how it will come back. Yep. Until then, it won't.
You know, I hope...
What do you think, Lon? What's your opinion on that? How do you think the police get back to the police?
So the media right now, it's their narrative.
That's what my percent.
Media sensationalism.
That's it. One cop does one thing, they try to generalize that the whole cop.
Because the good that cops do don't make it into the media. You know, like I said, I've done, not blowing smoke up my ass, I've done a lot of positive things in my career. I've had CPR saves. I've run into burning buildings. I've pulled people out of cars from car accidents, got them to safety. Did a million things in my career. I made it into the paper one time, I think. Aside from the little police blotters that you get in your local newspaper.
Right.
One story made the paper.
Ugliest cop in New Jersey, right?
Okay, 2 stories made the paper.
Okay.
The ugliest cop in New Jersey history and
just
my
shot
shooting.
somebody. Yeah.
So now I'm pigeonholed. Nobody looks at
you're pigeonholed.
everything I did in my career.
Yeah, you're pigeonholed for sure.
I'm the cop that was involved in a shooting.
Yep.
And that bothers me.
And it would bother the fuck out of me too.
I told Kevin on my episode, if you look up there, it's episode 9.
It's been promoting all week, man.
I told Kevin on my episode, like I was a volunteer football coach in town.
Up. It might be on that one. We'll pull it up before you go.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
We could play it for the last hour.
But you know the
definitely get banned.
The long and short of it is there may be no hard and fast answer to who would want to become a cop or why they would want to be a cop, but I sure as hell hope there are some that do. I really do, because without good people in that position, we're heading for chaos.
But Kevin, let me ask you this question: people don't want to become cops anymore, so they're going to start lowering their standards. Because they have to fill those positions. Now you're going to get lower standard cops.
Because in New Jersey, and I know a lot of other places across the country, it's this way. Police work is the most competitive job market in that state. So
if you take the police test and don't get 100 on it, you're not getting hired. 100 or a 99, you're not getting hired.
Is that right?
Oh, it's crazy. That's how competitive.
So they defund you, tell you to risk your life, and you have to get 99 out of 100? I don't think I've ever got 99 out of 100 in my life.
But hopefully they do come. And I think they will.
What are they paying in El Salvador in U.S. dollars for a patrolman?
I'm not sure on that number, but I know that other third world countries, they don't pay them much. That's why they
take payoffs.
I heard the new president of El Salvador is going to change that, though.
The perspective
would be very.
Perspective, maybe Glenn Parada over there. We got some guy named Boo in there who's changing the place to Bitcoin, or did change the place to Bitcoin.
Well, if I can add, my son wants to be a cop.
Your son does?
Yeah.
There you go.
Good.
See, again,
there's a few.
There are some out there. Thankfully, there are.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't go down the path.
Too.
Well,
everybody
I
does.
don't want
Everybody does.
Yeah, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
Not playing,
You're answering. You're asking a very valid question. I think that question needs to be answered. Who are we going to have for the future of police? Because if we don't have those good people in there, man, this world's going to really be crap.
One of the things I always said is, if you want to be a cop, do it because you want to be a cop, not just because you get a gun, you get a badge,
you got the power.
The chicks, the guys in uniform. Do it for the right reason.
Yeah, I have a daughter. You know, of course, I got a daughter.
Paybacks are a bitch.
I didn't even have to. I told her, so you don't even have to get a check.
You and me both.
Yep. See, I said you don't even have to check. I already know.
Call me. I only make boys.
Bobby Ches is a boxer.
Yeah, I know. I know Bobby.
Do you?
Yeah, I know Bobby.
I hang out with him every once in a while, and he has it down how to have a boy. And you know, he's Mensa. He's a member of Mensa.
I didn't know he was Mensa.
Mensa's
brilliant.
Top 2% IQ in the world.
It's something with holding the legs up. And
no, the top 2% IQ in the world.
No. As far as making a boy or a girl.
Oh, no. It's you fuck her the day before her period, the day of her period, you'll have a boy, which makes sense because the male sperm is 48 hours and the egg is right there. Then after that, I'll let Bobby tell you.
Dude, that's
the way he said it made sense. It's like if you do it, if you nail your girl when she's got her period, and the day before when she has it, it will be a boy with the sperm, how long it lives, and where the egg's at. After that, it's going to be a girl. I don't fucking know, but one thing I did fucking know that I was going to have a girl. That's what I know. But now, if I had a boy, and my point to that is, and my boy said to me right now, hey, Dad, I want to be a cop. I would say to him, son, now isn't the time. All right, if that's what you want to do, do it. But as your father, not right now.
What are you going to do if your daughter wants to become a cop?
I tell her the same thing.
Yeah.
But if she wants to do it, go do it. But my recommendation would be no, not right now. Don't risk your fucking life for 20.
You know, but if that's his passion,
right? But see, Mike, what I said
by time his career ends, this may turn around again.
Right.
So you don't want to hold someone off for something that may change in the future. Listen,
It's changed my mind.
It may never change again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No,
Right?
if
the rubber band
wants to do it.
The rubber band effect.
Who am I to say? Fuck.
Shit has never been this bad for law enforcement in my life, anyway.
Not mine.
No, my life's longer than yours.
So, Mike. So now, after this happens, what do you fall into? Drugs, alcohol? What was your vent?
In the beginning, it was alcohol. Nothing major. It wasn't like I was running to the liquor store every 10 minutes. It was just beer here, the beer there, something to calm me down, put me to sleep. I'd lay down in bed I started sleeping in my basement because I was just having like terrible nightmares and like I said before, waking up and just soaked in sweat.
Yeah.
So I'd lay down at 9 o'clock. I'd sleep for 2 hours, get up, have a beer or two, lay down another hour later, sleep for another 3 hours, get up, have a beer or two, lay down for another couple hours, have another beer. Now I'm looking at it. Now it's 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sitting there watching reruns of Friends, having a beer.
Isn't that the worst? When you're up all night and the news is the rerun, and then you're up when the 5 o'clock news comes on and you haven't went to bed yet. You're like, man, my life is real fucked up.
So then I started. I used to be a certified personal trainer, and like I said, when you go through PTS, you got to find your comfort zone. The gym was my comfort zone, so I started going to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to the gym, I'd come home, take my son to school. I'd go back to the gym, go home, eat lunch, take a nap. I'd go back to the gym. I was going to the gym 3 times a day. Listen, I was in great shape. I mean, I was ripped.
What happened?
I started doing a podcast with this fucking this Grizzly Adams looking motherfucker. So I wound up tearing my rotator cuff from overdoing it, and and then
that feels good.
Then tore the other rotator cuff.
Oh, too.
So,
good for you.
Listen, they just keep throwing shit at me.
Yeah, and you just got to keep swinging. Now, Kevin, what happened with you? What happened? What was the drama that happened with you that led you down a path where you ended up meeting Mike in group therapy? I mean, you already knew who he was.
Correct.
But I mean,
really connecting with him.
Yeah.
But it was July 10th, 2013. Every bad incident in a police career always starts as the slowest night ever. And there's nothing worse than idle time in police work.
Every cop knows the exact date and time.
Okay, so I got 2 cops here. When it's idle, are you both like, some shit's going to go down every time like that?
You hope for it to go down.
It's anything. Give me an alarm call.
Fucking bored.
Give me an alarm call. Try sitting in a small suburban town. There's nothing going on. The town shuts down at 10 o'clock. You're driving around. How many raccoons can you look at? It's crazy.
You know what I used to do? Go down to County Park where there were skunks. And I used to hit the air horn to see their tail come up. And I'd make the whole park stink, and then they'd just leave.
So this particular night was one of those nights. I pull up next to my partner, and I just remember telling him anything. Well, and be careful what you wish for. So we used to have to do these strip mall plaza checks and things. I go over and I go about doing it. It's Wednesday on like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. I go over there, and all of a sudden, it just takes that one crack of the radio, and that's what happened here. It's there was an officer working the desk, and he says, open 911 call at this address. Start heading there now. And you could tell by the tone of the voice that, okay, something serious going on. And they said, we go over the radio and say, well, what's going on? He goes, I don't know. We hear yelling in the back. So in New Jersey, 911 calls, we have to respond to every single one, whether it's misdialed, whether it's an accident, whatever it is. But sometimes when people are in real danger, they'll dial 911 and throw the phone down. So, yeah. We go heading there, and I can tell you the exact route. I can tell you the speed I was going, lights, no sirens because you don't want to give away your position. We pull into this little townhouse complex, and we make this makeshift plan up, some sort of a tactic. And it was in the middle of the townhouse row, so my partner goes around back. I stay in the front. We make this plan where I'm going to breach the front door. He's going to stand in the back because what we thought was going to happen, we could hear yelling. What we thought was going to happen, this guy's going to run out the back, and we'll just grab him. So, contrary to popular belief, cops do not kick down doors, especially steel doors. It's next to impossible to do. You break your leg. So in each car we held what was...
For any criminal out there, get a steel door. Just
Reinforced.
What we get...
I've seen one come down.
Yeah, you got to hit them, though. I mean, you're not hitting it with your shoulder.
Yeah, you'll get an extra 10 seconds.
Yeah. So I pull out what's called a Halligan bar. It's like a fireman's crowbar. And on a given signal, I start trying to breach the door. I start first by banging it and then hitting a hook in there to try to pop the lock. And all of a sudden, you hear pop, 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 pop. Very distinct gunshots. Like, oh, shit. So I pull back a second, and all I'm worried about right now, all I'm thinking about is my other officer in the back. Like, uh-oh. So you go over the radio. What's going on? Are you okay? And he, shots fired, ongoing domestic situation, so now we know what's going on. I had another officer with me, and other units are showing up at this point. So I go running around the back with 3 officers.
Now, when you contact that other officer, does everybody reply after you hear the shots?
Not if I am calling him. It's radio etiquette that you learn very quick when you're on the job. If I'm calling him, asking him if he's okay, what's going on, he's going to answer me back. It's kind of a given thing. It's something you learn very young or very early on in your career.
Then you got the other people, we call it stepping on each other.
Yeah, they step on you. They'll click over so your voice doesn't go through. But that's just numbskulls. So when I go into
Patterson.
Yeah. So when I go in the back,
Patterson, New Jersey.
Yeah. When I go in the back, there's a townhouse deck, and for those people who don't know what a townhouse deck, the size is, it's maybe 9 foot by 9 foot, 8 foot by 8 foot. And if I'm looking at the back sliding glass door, there's an opening off to the left. So again, there's 3 officers that are going to go onto the deck. Our plan is to breach the door, and there's another superior officer standing behind. The strange thing about police officers there's 2 types of them. There's ones that are going to run towards the danger when something bad happens, and just like human beings, just like regular citizens, and there's going to be ones that run away from the dangers. That becomes important in just a second. So we get on this deck. I get all the way over to the right of the deck, so I'm staring at the door. I can see the victim. I can see the victim over to the side. She's sitting on her butt. Her knees are up to her chest, and she is absolutely terrified. This is our job, though. Our job is to get to her so she's no longer terrified. We do not see the assailant. We don't know where he is. All we know, we figure he retreated upstairs. So we throw a patio chair through the back window, through the back sliding glass door, and we're going to go in. We're going to get them, whatever it is. One of the officers does it. I'm in this position, which I think is the most tactically sound position on that deck because I can see everything. As soon as that patio chair goes through the window, boom. So what the guy was doing, he was standing behind a wall, and he just put his gun back, fired. I feel I see the muzzle flash. I see the bright light. I barely hear the sound. You know, if you ever shot a gun, you go to a range, you're wearing hearing protection. But your adrenaline's not up. In situations like this, when your adrenaline goes up, physiologically what happens to you is your body compensates, so it sort of shuts down your hearing. I feel the gunpowder, because he's probably 5 feet away from me. I feel the gunpowder hit my face.
Oh.
The bullet wiggles my left ear. So it missed my ear, what they suspect, between 1/8 and 1/4 inch. I hit the ground. This is a major critical incident, something I've never been involved in at the time. I fall down and everything just goes silent. Everything stops. Everybody thinks you're going to panic during these things. Some people do, but then some people just become very, very calm. I fall on the ground, and at the time, I didn't know whether the bullet hit me. They always say you don't know whether you're going to be shot. I fall on glass, and I can see a lot of blood. The other 2 officers who were on the deck, they retreated, as they should, because there's danger. And I can hear them asking me if I'm shot, and I said, I don't know if I'm shot. I see a lot of blood. But like I was telling you, where everything slows down, so officers will take their car keys, and they'll put the ring over their radio antenna. That fell off when I hit the deck. And I very calmly picked the keys up, put them back on my radio, and now I know I can't get off of this deck. If I get off this deck, I know where the guy is now. Never saw him, but I know where he is.
The perpetrator.
Yeah. So if I get off that deck, I'm going right through the fatal funnel. He's going to be able to shoot me. I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere. I can't get off the deck. I'm 6 feet away from the exit. He's already fired at cops twice. I know he's serious. He's not talking. So I know he's going to shoot again. I figure, okay, here we go. It's game on. I'm going to die. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to die. And if I die, you're coming with me. I think about my kids. I think about my wife who's going to have to raise these kids. My oldest was 3. My youngest was 7 months. My oldest will know who I am. My youngest will never know who I am. and then you accept it. You accept that mortality. I get in a prone position, which is on my stomach, gun out, figuring, all right, it's time. I'm ready to die. And very calm, like I had clarity of thought like I've never had in my life. I stayed in that pinned position waiting for him to come out for what seemed like 3 hours, but in reality it was probably 30, 40 seconds, until the other officers were able to reach over the railing, pull me by my belt, and sort of cover me, and I get out. All right, good job, game over. Now the great part is after this, the guy retreats upstairs. So we're able to get the victim out. We get the victim out, so now there's no danger. Everything's done. We hold perimeter for quite a while. Now, let me go back to one thing. Remember how I told you there's certain people that run towards the danger and away from the danger? Well, one of the officers ran so fast and so far, and just left me for dead. I'll never forgive that guy, and it hurts me to this day that somebody would do that. I would never do that to another human being, no less a brother or sister officer.
You have said before he's probably still running.
He's still running. He's still running. It upsets me. It upsets me that somebody would do that. Tommy, you're not a police officer, but I wouldn't do that to you.
Right.
All right.
No, I wouldn't do it to you either.
Right. So I get off the deck, and it was a regular job. Now, at this time, I never carried my cell phone with me while I was working. It was different times back then. So it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. I get in the ambulance. I got a bunch of glass in my arm. I wasn't shot, but I had to. It just got embedded. And to this day, I still have some glass in my arm because of that. I get into the ambulance. They're taking me to the hospital to get this stuff removed. I grab one of the EMT's phones. Now think about this. Think about what the spouses of first responders go through. Their husband or wife was just in a critical incident. They don't know what it is. They don't know whether they're coming home. They don't know whether they're going to die. I call my wife and I say, very calm. I'm still very calm at this point. And I say, hon, I was in a shooting. I'm not shot. I have to go to the hospital to get glass removed from my arms. I'll be home as soon as I can. I go to the hospital. I get the glass removed. I come home and I'm amped up. Like my adrenaline is still going. I actually go out for a run. And then I get some sleep and you wake up to the 50 phone calls of the sewing circle that is police work. And that week I was working Wednesday, Thursday, so they gave me Thursday off. I wasn't coming back till Monday. And in my mind at the time, it's beautiful. I got a 4-day weekend. This is fantastic, not thinking anything about it. The funny part is the next night, my wife and I, we go to the movies. And we watch this movie. It's a Seth Rogen movie called This Is the End. And there's a beginning scene where there's a loud bang and they're getting taken up to heaven. Well, that bang, I almost shit myself. I got scared. My chest started thumping. I started sweating. I didn't want to alarm my wife because I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't want to alarm my wife, so I said, you know what? I'm just going to go out to the bathroom. I'll be back. I couldn't walk back in the movie theater. This is not me. I was not this guy. I'm a big, strong guy. I'm a type A personality. I got all the tools. I can't do it.
Everybody's fucking human, man.
I can't do it. I found out I was human that day. I didn't really think anything of it, but that night, that's when the nightmares hit. Mike said something. You're so wet at night from nightmares. You can't sleep. You don't want to sleep because the nightmares are so bad. You wake up, you don't know whether you pissed yourself. That's how wet you are.
And the whole nightmare was because you thought that this was the end.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it's different every night.
But the nightmares are different every night. You know, you have these nightmares that are just so outlandish. It has nothing to do with the situation.
You're in a shooting and you don't have your gun. Stuff like that.
Right.
Or like you see the old cartoons when they go shoot a gun and a bullet just falls out of the gun. Or what we call misfire. You pull your gun on someone and you pull the trigger and nothing comes out. Or you get the bang flag that comes out like in the cartoons. That
ridiculousness, but really mess you up.
It's crazy. But then you go to these doctors and they say, "Oh, you're having nightmares? I can give you something that will shut down your nightmares. You won't remember your nightmares."
On these motherfuckers, boy.
You're like, you won't remember your nightmares. So now you're having a nightmare. You wake up sweating like crazy, but you don't remember what you're sweating because of.
Well, it doesn't. So that Thursday, again, the nightmare started, but that wasn't the worst of it. So like I said, I had a 4-day weekend. My parents are still living down by Atlantic City. So we go down, take my kids down to go see them. Just a nice getaway. Let me get away. Let me clear my head. So my 3-year-old, he's a 3-year-old. He's drinking chocolate milk in his car seat. He spills it. I lost my mind. You would have thought that he crashed my car.
Yeah.
I lost my mind. And that ride home, all I did that ride home, because you go from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. That whole ride home, I'm yelling, I'm screaming at everybody. But I realized something. There's something off. There's something wrong. Something's going on here.
So now what do you turn to? You turn to drugs, alcohol, depression? Well, how do you deal with it that leads you here to where you're at?
So it was alcohol. Like they prescribed, the doctors would prescribe
Can't wait to hear this.
Lexapro and Klonopin. All right, that's the cocktail. That's the regimen that they'll put you on. Now here's the thing: it's not really working because antidepressants don't work right away. Klonopin, yeah, it'll put you to sleep, but you're given 0.5 milligrams of Klonopin. You're taking 2 or 3 of them because you're a knucklehead type A personality, and that's what we do.
I'm prescribed it. I take 4 a day, 3 a day. I have to.
It's rough.
Not for me.
You take a couple drinks on top of Klonopin.
It doesn't really fuck with me.
See, for me,
everybody's different. Everybody's genes.
It intensified everything. So I'm taking 3-4 Klonopins a day just to get some relief. But I'm drinking, and I'm drinking, and I'm drinking. Anything and everything I can, and it gets to a point where
I'll kill you quick, man.
What I find out is I was trying. That's what I was trying to do.
Subconsciously, you're trying to do it.
I was trying to dull because I'm
dying from the inside out.
I'm becoming a monster to my family and my kids. My 3-year-old points a Nerf gun at me once. I flipped. Like I didn't yell at him, but I grabbed the gun as if somebody was putting a real gun in my face. I turn it on him and I snap it in 2. And I throw it in the garbage. And then I looked at his face. This 3-year-old kid playing with guns. I look at his face and the terror of that. I didn't say a word. Walked out of the house. Turned my cell phone off because you start to get paranoid. The Klonopin and the alcohol made me very paranoid.
Really?
Turned my cell phone off, parked my car, walked into the woods. I lived in the woods for 3 days.
Did it?
Yeah. And it just keeps going on and on until one night I'm sitting down in my office and I'd had enough. I wasn't sleeping. It's 2 o'clock. At night.
Now, how long did that go on for? How long until you had enough? How long did the process? You slept outside for 3 days. You're flipping on your kids for reasons you normally wouldn't. How long did that stretch of, issues go on for before you set up? Behavior. That's what I'm looking for.
Month and a half, 2 months before, but it was
like a gradual thing.
It was it was sliding down, and like you're just thinking, okay, I'm going on this ride, and you never stop, and you're never hitting the bottom. So I went in my office, and I still had my off-duty gun, and that's one more thing. I never carried off-duty. I never carried my gun off-duty when I was working. Now I start carrying my gun with me.
Oh boy!
I start putting my gun on my side.
This doesn't sound good.
On Klonopin and liquor.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking clearly.
And now look, Mike, I said Klonopin with a couple drinks. And my body's different.
I'm drinking a 5th.
Okay,
just so you know, I'm drinking a 5th, and I got 5 Klonopin in me.
Okay, I'm talking about maybe 2 milligrams of Klonopin and 4 White Claws.
Yeah. Well, White Claws aren't really alcohol, are they?
They're more alcohol than beer. Come on now.
But he's talking about a 5th of liquor with 4 Klonopin.
We should work a White Claw, advertisement into this. Because you're a White Claw guy, I'm a White Claw guy now.
I've bought enough of it through some bad times. I can tell you that much.
Listen, I should have bought stock in it before I started.
Me too. When my mom died, I wiped out 4 of these corn. I mean, I'm not proud of it. I mean, it was because when it was time to stop, it wasn't a good time.
But go ahead, Kev. Back to you.
Right.
Yeah, sure. I'm only getting about. Starting to carry my gun. We're all talking about White Claws, but it was going downhill. It was going downhill so fast, and I was doing some really bad stuff. I got there's no buffer between calm Kevin and angry Kevin. I'm calm 1 minute and then I'm yelling the next minute. It was really bad. I put my wife through hell. Like my wife, I'm surprised she's still with me. I put her through.
She loves you.
Yeah, through true hell.
Who the fuck else would deal with it?
But I'm spitting at her. I'm throwing things at her, calling her rotten names.
She loves you.
It was awful, and so I become this giant burden, and I can't handle it. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. There's no way out. It's time to go. It's time to end it. I go in my office. I grab my gun, and it's a Chief Special 38 nickel-plated lightning grips. It's a beautiful gun. I recently qualified with that gun too, so there's gunpowder residue on the muzzle. So I cock the hammer back, and if you know anything about double-action guns, once you cock that hammer back, if I sneeze, it's going. Hollow point bullets, so when I do it, I'm going to blow the back of my fucking head off. I put that gun in my mouth. I taste the gunpowder. I feel the sight on my teeth. I feel the metal on my tongue. And I'm bawling crying. I mean, I am bawling. I'm a mess. I close my eyes and just looking for a reason. Just something, please tell me why. I don't want to do this, but I got to do this. Just give me a reason once. The whole incident replays like a movie, like I'm watching it in my head. And, you know, I flashed to my kids, and it just gave me a moment of clarity, just a moment of clarity to not do it that day. I put the gun down. Now I really, really know there's something wrong. And it's time for me to get this gun out of my house. I actually asked a friend of mine, and that's a really degrading thing for a male to do, to say, hey, bro, listen, I'm having some problems. I need you to take my gun.
Why is that degrading?
It's emasculating.
You're about to kill yourself, and you think that's degrading?
But I didn't tell him I was about to kill myself.
It doesn't matter. You know.
I know.
That's not degrading.
And they understand. They understand, but you don't think they do.
Right,
it's
right.
not degrading. It's an honorable thing, though, really.
That's yeah.
You know how it feels.
Listen, I know exactly what you're talking about. But
looking back on it, I agree. But at the time, I'm like, I'm such a pussy. I am such a pussy.
It's just like, again, being involved in a shooting. At my shooting scene, not to take away from you, Kevin, I'm sorry, but they took my gun from me at the scene. It's got to be one of the most emasculating things ever.
Yeah, it's like taking your balls away.
They took my whole uniform at the scene because, I mean, listen, I know it was used for evidence because of the tire shrapnel and all that stuff. They took my whole uniform. I was standing in a
I know for a fact.
in a trailer in my underwear.
That would fuck me up.
I know for a fact if that gun had stayed in my house and I hadn't done that, I would not be here today. I'm
glad you're here today and you made the right decision.
There would have been a round two.
There were other attempts, milder attempts. I think I tried to hang myself once. I tried to do it with pills because it wasn't stopping. Eventually, through some serious therapeutic help, I had a little bit of clarity to finally go to rehab because I'm still drinking. I'm going crazy. Like,
you're Band-Aiding, right?
Yeah, I'm running away from suffering is what I'm doing. I'm running clear away from it. I'm numbing it. I go to rehab. Now, rehab kind of scared me straight. So I looked at rehab. I looked at rehab. Number one, I don't like being confined. That's all you are. You're in there with some people who you thought you had a problem. No, man, you guys, wow. Like, wow. One guy came in there. It took him 3 days to bleed out the alcohol.
You ain't feeling so bad no more, huh?
The food's great. But they can't give you any medication, so you don't shit.
How was that detox?
You don't shit the whole time you're there.
Like a fifth a day with 4 Klonopin? You must have been shaking, chills. Ooh,
it wasn't that bad.
Really?
It wasn't that bad because when I checked myself in. I wasn't sent there. I checked myself in, so I had that luxury. I used it. I said, okay, Kevin. I looked at myself in the mirror. Let's get yourself straight. Let's get this going. So I tried to use it. Like I brought 3 notebooks there just to write notes. I started, push-ups, pull-ups, anything I could do. I knew obviously I wouldn't have a gym there, but anything I could do to get that stuff done. I really wanted to use it. We all want to get better. I wanted to use that for progression because, again, life's pretty great. And I see that now. I had a tough time seeing it then. I get out of rehab. I actually check myself out of rehab. I'm like, you know what? You guys, I ain't coming back here. I'm done. And not that it gets better. It subsides. But until I started helping others, did I really start to heal. Because what I find out is I run away from suffering. That's what I was doing. Most people run away. It's counterintuitive to run towards any type of suffering. You always try to run away from it, but maybe that's not such a good thing. And this is where the concept for the podcast came in. Maybe if I just learn to embrace suffering and run towards it a little bit, the duration of that suffering will be much smaller, and I'll be able to get through it to the other side. When I finally started to see the light at the end of the tunnel, I never left group therapy because, hey, I'm cured. I don't need this anymore. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I had a purpose now, and I had a obligation in order to pay that back. And that's what I did. I paid it back. I started helping other officers run through the pension system because the pension system in itself is a bunch of stress. So you're dealing with PTS and you're trying to deal with the pension system and you're trying to deal with everything. It's a lot. So I started walking through that with them. And they would get better, and I'd see it. They would get better. They'd feel normal. Guys who couldn't go out to dinner because they were afraid of the crowds, all of a sudden we were able to get together in a controlled environment, go out And unfortunately, there was a lot of drinking involved, which there's not much I could do with.
I was there with you.
Yeah, we would go out, and that's the one place where we would feel normal because we're coming from a place of understanding. I understand what you're going through. I'm not going to tell you what to do, because anybody who hasn't been through any type of suffering and then tries to help somebody who's going through anything, it becomes a very paternal type of relationship where, hey, kid, come with me. I'm going to show you how this is done. But if I know Mike has been in a shooting and I've been in a shooting, I'm going to go, okay, let's figure this out together. I've been through this stuff. I got a little extra tools. I'm going to give you those tools so you can get through this stuff. And that was that and group therapy was pretty much the concept of this whole show that we put together.
Now, going back, why do you take the disorder out of it? Why? Because, everybody calls it post-traumatic stress disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you take the disorder out of it?
Because it's a brain injury. If you do a brain scan before and after the traumatic event, your brain synapses and it actually changes.
Like concussions and CTE.
Right.
It's a brain injury.
Right.
There's
so
something wrong with your brain.
Right. So I understand how addiction is a disease. A lot of it's genetically. If you have a long history of addiction in your family, you're more likely to get it. Right.
We say all the time, a disorder is
like schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
Pedophilia, they're disorders.
Okay.
Rapists, pedophiles.
They're disorders.
Disorders.
But if you break your arm, it's not calcium bone disorder. Okay, it's a broken arm. It's an injury.
Do you guys call it? Would you say it's a disorder because it's almost like pre-existing, and then when you have the post-traumatic stress, that wasn't there prior, so because it was added on later in life, you weren't born with it or didn't develop it very young.
I'm not a medical guy.
I'm sorry.
By any means, but I believe a disorder, like you said, is in place before something. You know what I'm saying? So
I agree with that.
So
yeah.
You have to have some kind of disorder. Then you have a traumatic incident. Then it could be considered disorder.
See, now it makes total sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
This is an injury.
Right.
If that guy crashed, like I said, in my incident, if the guy came at me at 90 miles an hour, hit me head on, and I had, let's just say my head hit the windshield and I had a brain injury. That's an injury. That's not a disorder.
Right.
It wasn't anything.
Well, it adds to the stigma too. It adds to the stigma. So, especially with police, and I know it's other first responders. When you have PTS, you're looked at differently. I've had people in my old department, people who had no clue what I was going through, call me a scam artist. Because I did finally retire with a pension.
And what did they tell you when you got the pension? Your disability pension?
You
hit the lottery.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. Oh, you hit the lottery. And I told you in the beginning, I'll give it back tomorrow.
Yeah.
To not go through what I went through and to be a police officer. So if we get rid of that disorder, maybe we'll get rid of some of the stigma that's associated with PTS, and we'll start treating it more like an injury and treat it to the point where we can give it back. And there's lots of new treatments that they're opening up. I got a friend works for ASM or he owns the ASM Foundation, where they're finding that psilocybin. And the
mushrooms,
the magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
So psilocybin has been found to regrow the synapses in your brain, and obviously cannabis use.
So has ketamine drip.
Ketamine, ibogaine, ayahuasca. I am open.
Modafinil, yeah.
I am open to all forms to get rid of this and to relieve it. I'm open to all forms as long as it's healthy and not dangerous and not masking the issue. But sometimes, in order to get through the issue, you have to get some sleep. Like, you have to get some sleep, or else you're going to go crazy.
And sometimes you need to take something to get your mind rewired back.
Correct.
And a lot of people that have come in here, or that I know, they had an addiction in the past. And now, because of that, they're not wired right. The beta's not working right. The beta goblin's not working right and shit.
Okay, I don't know if you feel this. Do you feel the word disorder? I take that almost as offensive.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with me. Yeah. I was hurt. I was hurt.
Like you said, you break your arm. You don't go through life and say, "Oh, he's got an arm disorder."
No, to me, a disorder is like you're born with it. It's a disorder. So if it comes later in life, how is that a disorder? That's an injury because something happened that caused it.
Yeah, exactly.
Glenn, you deal with a lot of military people, with his thing.
Post-traumatic stress.
Tons of Marines and all that. Would you agree with that it's not a disorder? Is your opinion the same with that?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. They've been kicking a lot of soldiers out of the military, saying that they had PTSD prior to what was going on. They called it the personality disorder instead of a PTSD, so they don't.
Or TBI, traumatic brain injury.
They don't give them benefits.
So they don't give them benefits.
Well, here's a weird story. So PTS has been around forever.
You hear that, Mike?
Yeah.
So they don't give them benefits.
They don't give them benefits, yeah. Thank you for fighting for our country. What you saw was fucked up over there. What you saw is something that no normal human being should see in a lifetime. Now we're not going to give you benefits.
Wow. That I didn't know.
It's disgusting.
I mean, you know, I'm pretty close with Tig.
Right.
You know, Benghazi.
Yeah,
he came in,
yeah.
and he's really cool and funny and everything. And, you know, this guy's, he just got 2 hips done, and he's out doing a tornado thing or something. But, you know, after him a couple times, and now you got, I don't think it's a disorder.
It's
And
not.
No,
yesterday I would have argued that forever, but you guys really made that clear.
Well, you know, and see, that's
And that's part of the Suffering podcast.
That's part of. I was just going to say it's part of the podcast that Kevin started.
Yeah.
You know,
Kevin.
Kevin
So you know,
started.
Kevin.
But do you like how I built that up to push the podcast?
The crescendo.
But again, the podcast.
That was a good
although
build-up.
you said something in
Good
the beginning.
segue.
You said something in the beginning that word suffering. It's a rough word. But ultimately, in every show that we do, at the end of it, we talk about, hey, you know what? Life is pretty great. Life is pretty great. We're down. Mike and I are down here in Florida. We had a year of meeting people like I've never dreamed of this in my life. Nor did I ever ask for it. Life's pretty great. It has a way of working out. We used our suffering in order to do some good stuff for other people.
You know, Kevin and I had this conversation before. And we were talking about, like, we go to all these different shows, and people say, wow, that's like a sad story. No, it's not. It's sad what we went through. But it's, I don't want to say happy ending because Kevin gets all excited. But
it is a happy ending because now you have responsibilities.
We have resiliency.
It was sad, but now it's exciting. You know, now we saw what we went through. Through this podcast, we have helped out so many people and opened up so many eyes and changed so many ideas. Like you said, yesterday you would think it's a disorder.
100%.
We just changed that idea now.
You did.
You know, we're opening people's eyes
So
to
the next
what's
time-
going on. So the next person that it happens to, maybe they'll understand why it's happening and what to do.
Well, so with podcasting, that happens all the time. We had somebody. The common term is commit suicide, right? You've heard that. You've said it. You've heard it. I've said it. I've heard it. We had somebody in there, and his name's Artie Dell, who works for a nonprofit we work with called 1013 Survivors. He went down that path. He changed my vocabulary. It is not commit suicide. It is lost to suicide. You commit crimes. You don't. They changed the laws on this years ago when suicide was illegal. You could commit suicide. You can't commit suicide anymore. You're lost to suicide.
They changed it because you can't charge anyone
Yeah.
with the crime of
Right.
committing suicide.
So PTS, it's not a disorder. So that's how.
Agreed.
That's the great.
But you commit suicide.
You
No,
are
you're
lost.
lost to suicide.
You are lost to suicide. And yeah,
I don't know. That one, you're not selling me on that one. Me, you commit suicide. You fucking put that rope up there. Your ass put that around your neck. You committed suicide. What do you mean? You could say Kevin or Mike committed suicide and there are laws of suicide, but committed means you committed to tie that fucking rope or shoot that gun.
We had this conversation in the car coming
Yeah.
all the way across state.
yeah, it's
Listen, there's different.
Yeah.
there's different.
It's all the vernacular.
But Tommy,
it's all,
And you know what? And
wordage.
that's just my opinion from the outside. I haven't been in that situation, so it's not.
Listen, the
but
way
Tommy, here's the great thing. You don't agree with that. Okay, cool. I agree. I do. I feel that way. Okay, cool. We're gonna end this show, and then we're gonna go shake hands, and we're gonna be friends because that's the way the world should work.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, well, I'm curious. So why do you think it's not committing suicide?
But if you talk to someone that has been affected by a suicide in their family,
You say that it's offensive.
they're offensive.
Yeah.
They're offensive to the term,
Yeah.
the phrase "commit suicide."
because
See, guys, I've never had to walk in that door. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to learn. When
So-
I'm asking these questions, I'm not trying to be a
So
dick.
when-
I'm
Oh,
trying
no,
to learn.
absolutely.
no,
know?
no, I'm not taking it that way at all.
And Kevin and I learn from every episode. Kevin says it all the time. This is the greatest education we've ever had.
What the hell's the point of doing it if you're not going to learn anything or be open-minded at
Yeah,
least?
absolutely.
Let me put it to you this way. So let's say you lost a family member to suicide. And I throw that in there. You lost a family member to suicide. So everybody else around said, oh, that person committed suicide. When the drug dealer down the street is committing a crime. So all of a sudden, in their mind, those two are joined together. They both committed something that was horrible and horrendous. There's no crime against anybody other than the surviving family members with suicide. So why even go there with commit? Why even relate it to the two?
I'm with you. That's two.
Yeah, we turned him around.
No, really, because let's say somebody in my family that I really loved died, and they chose to take their own life, and you came to me, and they were very close to me, my mom maybe, you know, anybody close to me, and they say, hey, he committed suicide. I'd want to hit him right in his face.
Yeah.
But I never thought about it like that until it was explained. Would you, Glenn?
No, that's more of a. I would dive more deeper into that.
What do you mean you dive more deeper? What do you mean?
No, just ask more questions and just break it down because there's a religious aspect to it too.
Oh, if you get it, that's a whole nother ballgame. Yeah.
What are we, like 3 hours in right now? We would go another 6 hours.
Let's start talking religion and politics. We'll be here all night.
Yeah, fuck that.
We have a flight at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
We're good until then. We're good until then.
Yeah, no thanks. Okay, so your thing happens. Much respect. I'm happy. And now you guys both got responsibilities for the other people that you helped. Because say you ever have that thought again, either you got how many people that are. You don't know how many people are dependent on you, maybe.
The one good, well, not the one good thing, but one of the good things about this podcast is Kevin and I have gotten so many contacts now in different aspects of PTS and everything else. I mean,
we have a toolbox that's unheard of.
It's unbelievable just through this podcast, and because of this, we're able to help people out, and that's the reason Kevin started, and that's the reason that when Kevin asked me if I wanted to be part of this, I jumped through hoops to get involved in this. I thought this was the greatest thing going. When I did, the way I got involved is Kevin called me up. He knew what I went through, and he asked me if I'd come in and talk about my incident. So I came in and talked about my incident, and we just had a click.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
You know, Kevin called me up that night. Kevin usually edits it like the next day or two. He edited it that day. He called me up that night, and he says, Mike, we got something special.
You know when you record a show, and after that's done, you go, man, that's something. Well, that was the first feeling on his show. I'm like, wow, yeah, that's something. That's something. But here's the funny thing with Mike and I. So we've heard it throughout this show. We're rough on each other. We're very tough on each other. But that's how we as police officers, and I think type A personalities, we're not huggy-feely guys. But by me breaking his chops, that's me telling him, bro, I love you. I do. He is one of my best friends. He's honestly one of my best friends.
No, I can see it.
Hey, Glenn, cut that too.
he wants to put that on my grave.
No, I'm gonna get it on the back of the next shirt. Kevin's my best.
He's
friend.
gonna get a fucking tattoo next time. They're asking for tattoos.
But that's the truth. Now think about how crazy this is. Out of suffering, you have two guys that become best friends. And I'd take a bullet for this man. I would do whatever I needed to do. And listen, we still have residual effects from this. I know if I don't hear from him in 2 days, because we talk every day. I talk to him more than I talk to my wife. If I don't hear from him in 2 days, I know something's up. I'm going to call him. Hey, bro, what's going on?
You guys are saving each other's lives, too.
We've done it.
Absolutely.
That's a special thing.
We've done it.
And whenever you go to bed at night, you should be thankful for that.
Well, he's always right next to me when we go to bed. So
well,
he just rolls over and says thanks.
All right.
But
is that before you guys spoon or after you spoon?
Oh, we spoon during.
I guess you probably can't say that.
I love rubbing his beard at night.
Well,
no, but
is that why he's growing it out?
Yeah, it's tickling.
But like you said, Kevin saved my life in the beginning. In the very beginning, when I walked into that group therapy session, you know, and I knew Kevin had been through something similar that I went through, and he looked at me and said, "You're going to go for a ride," and he said, "I'm going to be here for you." You know, and
love to hear it.
And I told Kevin on my episode at the very end of the episode, I said to him, I said, Kevin, you know, there's a couple of people I got to thank. First of all, I got to thank you. I said, first of all, for this podcast, for giving people a platform to tell their story. It's second of all, thank you for being you. He was instrumental in my recovery, and there was, like he said, I'll take a bullet for him. I'd take bullets for him any day.
I'll tell you what, Mike, you're a hell of a man for saying that. I don't care what your past is. You're a hell of a man for that, because for a lieutenant and a detective and all that, to say, Kevin, you saved my life, you're the man, He's alpha as alpha. Both of you are alpha as alpha gets. I mean, I could see him ready to shoot through the door if he needed to. You know what I mean? And he's looking you right in the eye and saying that from a tough fucking dude like him. He reminds me of my grandpa.
Kevin and I'll guarantee, I'll never call him up and say, Kev, I love you.
Yeah.
But I'll call him up and say, Kev, you got a small dick. That means, Kevin, I love you.
Remember I was saying my grandpa that was 6'6", never ever said I love you.
Yeah.
But you come up and give me a slap in the back of the head, good job, kid. And that was his way of love you, son.
Absolutely. It's shown in different ways.
Actions speak much louder than words.
Yeah.
They really do.
Or he shake my hand or something, you know. Last two things.
Sometimes you get that look, too. You know, just give you that look like
that. He would give me that little smirk, like, but then it would go right back to that.
The smirk and the head nod.
Yeah, like, but don't think
that's
you're,
the Italian thing. You know?
But he would do that. He would give me the smirk and be like, but that also meant don't think we ain't practicing after this game. Because I would play football and everybody else would go home and rest. My grandpa would make me go outside. Cold, it didn't matter if it was 2 degrees. And I'd have to catch another 100 passes. We had a thing. My mom would be screaming after the game. But then when I went to play again, my hands weren't cold. Everybody had heating things. I'd be like, what the fuck is this? Right. I was just out. He'd have me out in a fucking wife beater. This guy.
There's a method behind old people madness.
And we need it back. We need it to fuck back, man.
That's one of the problems with society today. We don't have that. I always say I was never an abused child. Never an abused child. I knew when I was wrong. My father would beat my ass.
But look at you. And you're respectful. You just thanked him for saving your life.
And you can't discipline kids the way our parents did.
No, you'll go to jail.
And that's why I think society is the way it is today.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. 2 last questions, and then I'll let you go and rest, and we'll come back and finish the other shit that I have. So now I put that up there for a reason. Kevin or Mike, you want to read that?
We must learn to embrace suffering rather than the avoidance. Suffering is like a prairie fire. If you run from the prairie fire, it will gain strength and consume you. If you run towards that same prairie fire, you'll come out the other side, scarred and charred, but alive. The Suffering Podcast.
Enough said on that one. But I got one question.
I thought we were going to go through one interview without hearing a prairie fire.
I just thought it was a good message.
It really does encapsulate what it is.
It really is. But, like I said, me and Kevin do this all the time.
You've heard it like 9,000 times?
Oh, yeah. I could recite it verbatim.
So tell me about Mike. Mike Felice, did I say it right?
Felice. Falace in Italian.
Falace. Fuck. I'm around too many Italian people that have too many of the same names that are pronounced different but spelled the same.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's how it's.
And that goes for Irish, too, sometimes, too. So tell me about Mike.
Like I said earlier, I was born and raised in a small town in Bergen County, New Jersey, and parents were divorced when I was young. So, like I said, my father was never an absentee father. He was always there. But I didn't have a father to go home to every night. I have a brother that's 2 years older than me, the one that worked with Kevin. And my mother worked like 2-3 jobs at a time. So me and my brother had to grow up at a young age. My mother wasn't she provided for us like crazy. Never say a bad word about my mother. She worked her ass off to give us everything we had. But she wasn't there every day. And we didn't have a father every day. I mean, me and my brother would go home from school. My mother wouldn't come home till 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night sometimes because she was out working. We had to learn to fend for ourselves, to whether it be cook for ourselves or eat cereal for dinner, I was doing my own laundry since I've been 8 years old.
Really?
So it was just, I didn't want my mother to work 3 jobs and then come home and say, Mom, here's my dirty underwear, go wash them. So you got to do those things, and so I learned to, fend for myself. And then they sent me off to high school. I was a decent athlete when I was younger, played football. I was being one of the better football players in town. I wanted to better myself. So I went to one of the best football schools in North Jersey at the time, Seton Hall Prep.
Oh, shit.
They were like perennial, state champions and everything. Yeah. So I figured my life was set out for me. I was going to Seton Hall Prep. I was getting a full scholarship to Notre Dame. I was going to play for the Giants. That's the way my life was set out for me.
And you would have got to play with Holt.
Yeah. So
I loved him, man.
Lou Holt?
Lou Holt. I love Lou Holt.
So now, here I am, 13, 14 years old. I go to Seton Hall Prep. 150 kids tried out for the freshman. Talk about like a waking up experience. I'm like, because you find out when you're
Ain't high school anymore.
when you're a big fish in a small pond, you think the world is yours. You know, when you become a small fish in that big pond. Now at that point, at 13, 14 years old, I realized I had to fight for everything in my life. I had to fight to make the freshman team. Sophomore year, I had to fight to make the varsity team. You know, and you realize that nothing's given to you. So I've been fighting my whole life. I mean, I've always been an underdog. I don't know if you could tell. I'm kind of short.
No, I thought
I'll remind you.
Yeah, as you do every day. You know, I was a short, not too fast defensive back. You know, there isn't much of a need for that in life, but I had to constantly prove myself. Went to Seton Hall Prep. People told me from my town I couldn't do it. You know, I'll see you back at the local high school next year. You know, so that gave me motivation. Just kept me pushing and pushing and pushing. So then I graduated high school, played football all 4 years. So I proved them wrong. I went to college. I went to a Division III college, right down by you in Philly, Widener University.
Oh, Widener, yeah.
Down in Chester. And people would tell me, you're too slow.
The home of Willie White Shoes Johnson.
And Joe Fields.
Joe Fields. I didn't know Joe Fields.
I went there as a wide receiver.
As a wide receiver.
5'9".
I don't know how you're gonna jump with those guys.
5'9", white wide receiver whose best 40 time was like 4.6.
The funny thing is in Division III football, it's all about how tough you are. Yeah. So he's probably. I'm not going to tell him. You get the picture.
Freshman year, 2 freshmen made the varsity team. Me and a backup quarterback. So it was just.
That's awesome.
It was just proving them wrong.
Yeah.
Then I fucked up and quit college after a year, but you know.
But you won.
Yeah,
I take that as a win.
It was a victory for me.
Because you had to fight.
I proved them wrong, and after I made the team and everybody said I couldn't do it, I proved them wrong. There was nothing left to prove at that point.
Nothing left to prove.
You know,
right?
I wasn't a college guy. I sat in class all day thinking, if I graduate college, I'm going to be in a suit and tie and sitting behind a desk every day. So I left college, worked some odds and ends jobs, and got into construction union, worked construction union. Made a lot of money back in the day, but hated every fucking minute of it.
I bet you did.
Hated every. Then I got into law enforcement, and that's where my life took off at that point.
That's awesome. You guys make a good team. A good team. You keep up with it, it's going to be big.
Well, you know,
we're open.
You know, I'm the glue that keeps this thing togetger.
Right. Pull up, go through the website again. Go to the website and then go to Instagram, even though they don't want to go to Instagram. Just kidding.
I don't think there's anything that bad up on there.
No. You just got to get out all the way.
Nothing bad yet.
Yep. All right, so here's the website. Go to the tab 2.
Overkill, look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's your website. You got Suffering Podcast Gear, our podcast, speaking engagements. Go to speaking engagements, Glenn. Just scroll back up. Speaking engagements. So anything you guys are going to, you have one here?
Yes, absolutely. So what we'll do is we'll go out and we'll speak with, that's us at the Moment of Silence. So Blue Magazine puts on these events to bring awareness to blue suicide.
You switched that. They had it
I
wrong.
did switch
They had it wrong.
They had it wrong. But we'll go out and we'll tell our stories. We'll tell our stories and how we got through them and bring a little hope. As a matter of fact, that's one of the ways I met Charlie.
Yeah.
Okay, I met Charlie. He came to this event. At this event, we were able to interview Sheriff David Clark.
Mike Dowd.
That's where we met Mike Dowd.
We didn't interview Mike Dowd that day, but we made a connection with Mike Dowd.
And then if they want to get you for an event, go all the way down to the bottom, Glenn.
My contact information is
just
there.
Put it in there, and then somebody can contact you and say, hey, we'd like you guys to come or whatever it may be. Okay, and then you're going to add to the shop episodes. Go over. Tab 4 right there. There you go. And if you scroll to the top, go to all episodes. And the Suffering Podcast on Buzzsprout, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I'm sure
every single,
all the
50
other,
of them,
all the ones that they should.
We talked about the top one there, the
Derek Taylor,
the rock star Derek Taylor.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that one.
So he's got a son. He's got a son that's nonverbal, autistic with cerebral palsy. He's 32 years old. Oh. This guy's been a professional musician at the top of his game for 30 years.
Unbelievable. So see what you're saying, the people you guys get to meet.
Nothing holds this guy back. And his son, he's like a god to his son. He doesn't give a shit about being a rock star. He doesn't care.
Cares about his kids.
All he does is care about his kids.
As he fucking should, right?
His job is playing a rock band. His life is his son.
Awesome.
And that's the beauty of it. Like I said, life's pretty beautiful.
And a good thing about this podcast, like like we said, we're helping a lot of people, but all of these people, you could go 1 through 60. They're all part of our family now. We talk to them on a constant basis. If they need something, they'll give us a call.
That's so cool. So you keep up with it.
Oh, we keep up with them.
That's great.
I speak to the majority of these people up here. I speak with at least on a monthly basis. It's getting a little bit broader, a little bit more time consuming.
I could honestly say I have every one of those episodes. I probably have all their cell phone numbers in my phone.
I definitely do. I'm positive they do.
That's great. And that's how you know it's real and you love it and you're doing it to better people.
It gives us a purpose. We don't want people to go through what we went through. Like we talked about it before. When we leave these podcasts and we tell of our stories, we had one guy told us the other day, he's like, wow, that was really sad. We don't want it to come off as sad. Like I said, what we went through was sad. It was tough. It was terrible. But we came through that.
You can, and everybody can.
And we want to show people you could be at the lowest of low. Now, we're not at the highest of high. Don't get me wrong. We're still battling.
We're not MSCS media. I'm going to tell you. But
we're still walking up those stairs.
But you know what?
We're going to get it to the top one.
I don't care because I'll do this as long as it's therapy for me. As long as I find it fun. As long as I find it fulfilling. That's how long I'm going to do this for.
If we stay at the level we're at now, still successful, man.
And that's why you'll be successful because you don't give a shit.
Right. Don't care.
That's why.
As long as we make enough money to. Like, me and Kevin don't take a penny out of this.
Yeah.
As long as we make enough money to be able to give back to people and let them know that people care. Again, going back to the challenge coin thing. You're at the deepest of your lows. Someone gives you that challenge coin, you know someone's thinking about you.
And now,
if someone's in those lows and we could give them, like Kevin said, buy them groceries for a week. They know someone's caring about them and someone thinks about them.
And they might think twice if they're in a situation.
Absolutely.
So maybe you guys come back in a month and we'll go through a bunch more stuff because we could do another 3 hours.
It was a pleasure. This was a lot of fun.
Guys. I appreciate it.
This was probably one of my favorite.
Well, that's why we saved it to the end.
I appreciate it. Sorry you guys are a little worn out, a lot of running around, but you got a lot of good content in.
Well, next time we come we fly into Fort Lauderdale, come right to West Palm.
Or West Palm would be closer. Yeah, flying to West Palm.
Flying to West Palm.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you saw Matt Cox and nothing was robbed from you. And you'll have a house to go home to when you get home.
You know what my credit card bill is? I think it's like $20,000 now.
I would double check it.
No, I love the guy. I love the guy, man.
He's happy.
You know what? He's another guy that went through a lot and embraced it. And, he's one of us. Listen.
We made him cry, and we made him feel part of the police community. So on that show, he tears up. Because when Mike and I tear up in the studio, and we'll look at each other, and we'll just give each other a look at, hey, you're a pussy. You're a pussy. But what we're saying is like, bro, I understand. Yeah. So I said, Matt, I'm going to let you in be a police in the police or in our friendship. He starts breaking down and I go, yeah, Matt, you're a pussy.
I'll tell you what, Matt helped me a lot with this. He did a lot. He helped me a lot. He kept pushing me. And
finance?
No. Fuck no. Matt wouldn't if Matt had $10 million, he wouldn't give me 2 cents. And if he did, I'd have to pay it back to him in a week.
But
with a VIG.
He is brilliant.
He's a genius.
Really
do you know that he's dyslexic?
I read his bio. Yeah, he's dyslexic,
yeah.
And that's why he had a problem in school and all that.
Yeah, but he's real. He's got somewhere deep down there. He's got a heart. He's a good guy.
Came out to dinner with us. We had a great conversation. Met his girlfriend, and his poor girlfriend.
She could fix your engine for you if you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know she was a mechanic.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Next episode, we'll bring Matt's actually coming in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, listen, Tommy, I really appreciate you having us in.
You've done a lot for us, just by being you and accepting us into, your studio here. 2 times this week we're in your studio.
Yeah.
I
truly appreciate it. So Southern hospitality, I guess you could say.
And it's also one of those things that, I've been through it. I've been through there where I have had money and then have no money and nobody's around. So to me, it means something to me.
When you have money, people are around. When you have no money, people are.
But that's who your friends are.
We'll be here for 3 hours to tell you stories about that. But and you know who was around every time? One person, like I told you, my mom.
Your mom. I love that text. You know what? I'm going to say that.
So when she died, that's why I was plastered to that couch because I said, what the fuck now?
Yeah, you need a rock in your life. And
well, I got a little kid now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mike's my rock. My wife's my rock. So we're going to Hang it there.
So get that coin right here, Kevin, Mike. You guys can.
Well, this
speak
is
of
for
it
you.
better. I know. I'm saying for you to explain it one last time.
So if you go on to sufferingpodcast.com or denteddevelopmentproject.com, you'll be able to take a look for these challenge coins. Everything we earn from this goes right into our nonprofit, and it's time to start taking care of the people that take care of us.
And those of you, don't look at this as a fucking coin or some fucking sale. This could save somebody's life, and maybe you get it and you give it to somebody you know has got a problem. It's not about the fucking coin. It's about that if somebody has this, it could possibly save somebody's life, and that's fucking serious. And with that, thank you guys for coming in, and I hope to see you guys come back again.
Tommy, can't thank you enough.
Anytime you want us.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Glenn, good luck in El Salvador with that election, man. I'll come down there.
You
have any fundraisers? We'll come down.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Take care.